Time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show, materializing yet again here on the Spacebook channel, whatever time zone or time stream that you're joining us from. A big transcendental welcome. This is Type 40 Live, hitting your screen in real time for content and conversation here on YouTube and Facebook, in front of a live chat full of friends, fans, and companions just like you. And now we're in podcast form too. Of course, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Whew. New stories are breaking today. It's all happening just very, very slowly. And it struck me over the last few days in particular how, you know, we're kind of obsessed up with facts and figures already in the Doctor Who universe. And we talk a lot about, for example, that Tom Baker, he had the longest stint as the Doctor in these 7 seasons on screen in that role, in that scarf. And we talk about the Dalek Master Plan, the longest Doctor Who story ever made. Well, sort of, unless you count the trial, and I don't. The longest story ever put on screen. But I think this year we have had a record-breakingly long, silly season, even for Doctor Who history. There's some batshit crazy stuff we're going to get into a little later on into the show, so hold tight. In fact, there's some more on that, I think, still coming today. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a few moments. It's nice to see the live chat filling up. Tell us about your week. What's caught your eye? What are the stories that have caught your imagination? And have you been able to work out what's the absolute abject nonsense from the probable and the possible? Let us know. Please like the video now. You'll be having far too much fun later on, let's be honest. Please like the video now, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next with it. It's another one of these live streams, our live stream Doctor Who magazine show, or a podcast, or whatever else that we get up to. Okay, who first? Yes, let's bring in Charlotte Shields, shall we? Because she's always got her finger on the pulse, haven't you, Charlotte? Hello.
Now and again, I do actually know what's going on.
It has been known, hasn't it? Yes, this is the beauty of it. You see, when these stories are breaking, if I haven't heard all the news, you have, or JT has, or somebody else. So between us, we can pull it all together and make sure we've got it all covered. Everything out there concerning the world's longest running sci-fi and fantasy series. That's the theory. We've got to put it into practice, haven't we?
To match the theme of tonight, that's why the Doctor has companions, so they can help him. And we're all like each other's companions.
I can't really top that. Sheer poetry, so I'm going to let JT try instead. Hello, mate.
Hello, how are we doing? Hello, Spacebookers. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, happy lunchtime, wherever you are, whatever time you're watching this.
That's everything covered. And you're coming at us now out of the JNT era Starfield, aren't you, with the twinkling there?
Yeah, Charlotte seems to think this reminds her of the Starfield title sequence.
It does.
I put it on for Charlotte. Look at that.
Or it's the Borg's eyepiece in Star Trek. No, we don't. You don't know. No. I'll tell you later.
Is that American thing?
Yeah, that'll be show, JT.
Yeah, we'll come to it later. Let's bring on the rest of the crew. Yes, beaming in, funnily enough, all the way from lovely Lichfield. It's the equally lovely Mr. Simon Horton.
Hello, folks. I just haven't got as nice a backdrop as JT has. Let's be honest.
We'll get you one of them. We'll get you one.
I think you and I we went to bit Billy and Johnny then, didn't we? Hello.
It's just us, and do you know what? I don't know. I'm a bit stir crazy today. I haven't been out all day, and I'm just kind of a bit, I think I'm a bit more loopy than normal. So sorry, everybody.
That can happen.
You look a bit like a highlighter pen today. And that's obvious. I like the look. Okay.
Thanks.
Well, you say that you feel like you're sort of under house arrest and all cooped up.
I like the pen.
Spare a thought for Matt. Spare a thought for Matt Pott in Tasmania. I think I have no idea where he is, but it looks like he's at an undisclosed location in time and space. Hello, Matt.
Hello. I'm remodeling. What can I say? I've had an hour's sleep and I've been reorganizing everything, mate. Blu-ray DVDs.
That's going to be the good stuff. That'll be worth waiting for, won't it, with all your toys and gizmos? How are you, mate?
I'm sleepy.
Are you actually indoors? It looks like you're outdoors.
Yeah, I am. I know. I look like I'm camping. I know.
That's what it looks like.
On the allotment with Wilf Mott, that's where he is. So yes, please, if you remember out there, everybody who's watching us live on YouTube and on Facebook in the Type 40 Facebook group, hello everybody out there. If you are watching us in the Facebook group, you've got to remember to hit the link. You've got to hit the link, and Facebook will tell StreamYard who you are. StreamYard tells us. We all get on first name terms to get into everything on this edition of the show. Should we take a look and see who's here already in the live chat?
Let's see who's here in the live chat.
It's full of lovely comments.
Retro Doc has already come in with the best line so far. Simon broadcasting live from Paradise Towers. Yeah, it does look a bit like Paradise Towers.
Oh, Paradise Towers.
And somebody said Matt looks like he's had Chibnall set design around, which I found quite funny as well.
Hello, Problem Being. How are you, my friend? Nice
Problem
to see
Being
you.
says,
Hello.
greets all.
Greets,
What else?
Being.
Greets.
Who else have we got? Derek McManus is in.
Hi,
Dropping
Derek.
by
Happy
to hit
birthday,
like
Derek.
and say hello. Happy birthday, Derek. Many happy returns. Enjoy your day, your night. It's not even in a different time zone, but you never know with Derek. Whatever time he could be up, heaven knows what he's getting up to. Julian Raxel says, "Good evening, everyone. I hope
watching
you're
this
well."
on his birthday. Mad.
Birthday treat.
This women must be off.
Hold tight, Derek. Maybe he started drinking early. That could be it, couldn't it?
It could be that. Yeah, it probably is actually. Hi, Julian.
Who else is? Yes, it's a very, very big, chock full live chat. I'm trying to find something. I know that Retro Doc's here because other people are talking to him, but I can't find the comment that you were talking about there.
I'm now being told by John Cartwright that I've got to comb my hair. Well,
wow.
Fashion and styling tips here on Type 40 Live. Who'd have thought it? Yes, keep it coming. Let's see what you've got to say. We've got people swapping notes about great TV to watch. But as long as you don't start watching it until we're done on Type 40 Live.
Do you know what we should also do as well? If you could start swapping decent cookery recipes, that would be fabulous. Thank you very much.
And gardening tips for JT. Gardening would also be
I could do a whole slot about gardening tips. Coming soon. Like and subscribe, and we'll start doing that next year. Fabulous.
Roots and rooting with JT. Duncan Shaw says, I hope more of the missing episodes of Doctor Who are going to come out animated on DVD. So do we, Duncan. I think that's as long as they do something about the animation, right, Matt?
Yes. No, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. As long as it's not...
Give him another few minutes.
Yeah.
You got a gun to you. You look like you got a gun to your head, Matt.
Oh no.
It's what we were saying backstage.
Heidi hi, says Jamie Knight, Matt. Give him a hoody ho back, Matt, for heaven's sake. Give him a hoody ho back.
Hoody ho, Jamie.
Heidi hoody ho.
We got back on brand here from Will Hadcroft. He says good morning, good afternoon, or is it good evening?
Exactly,
Will. To keep track track around here. Tom Baker from the Keeper of Trock, and people, problem being speculating about your fabulously sparkly head there, JT. It's his sparkling mind. It's so sparkling. It's trying to shine a light from out of his lug hole there. That's exactly what it is. That's what's going on. Dano says, good evening, chaps. Hi, Dano. Been keeping an eye on your TARDIS. How's it coming along, Dano? Let us know when you complete that. We'll get it up on screen. Get you in for a chat, maybe. And yes,
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. We've got questions.
Very interested in all of that. We haven't got the console room up this time, have we? No. Let's get this in. Yeah, so as always, we like to have a console room up every single week on Type 40, and this time it's a classic Tom Baker look. I was wondering if any of you knew, though, what that chair was. Is that a chair part of set dressing, or was that left over from the crew?
I was just wondering exactly the same question there. That's no, I think that's between shots, isn't it? That's not part of the set dressing.
It must be, because in Planet of Evil. What's his name? What did Thingy What's sit down in Planet of Evil?
What's the Thingy What?
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm going to have to go back.
The scarf with the curly hair. Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, Thingy What's it.
I did wonder if that was a Mars bar wrapper that was just underneath the console there, but that's a cable that's sort of all twisted up and things. So you're right.
Yeah,
that's definitely an early Tom story, I would say, isn't it? It is something like.
I'm sure it's Planet of Evil with with the configuration of the roundels there, but I can't remember if I can't remember the actor's name now because I'm getting on. That played.
You mean yeah.
Lions. Yes.
Red Eyes.
Yes.
Real Wolf.
No, that was Pyramids.
No. Oh, come on!
I know the fella you mean with the wide eyes. How about a segment from the Doctor Who cookbook, Charlotte? What do you think about that from Mark Milford?
Professor Sorensen,
I think our chat is
Jaeger.
creative in the
Thank you,
cookbook.
Crimply.
Thank you, Crimply the Blue. There he is, Freddie. How could we forget him? Jesus goodness me! But isn't there a part of the scene? Sorry, Charlotte. Isn't there a part of the scene where he sits down in the TARDIS?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's it. So that's Planet of Evil. There, we've solved the mystery. Let's move on.
Yeah,
What do you say,
another mystery solved, Charlotte. Go on, you were saying, Charlotte. What do you think about the cookbook idea?
I was going to say, I bet our chat could come up with some more crazy stuff than the cookbook that officially was endorsed by the BBC.
There were two, Charlotte. There was also one written by the legend that was Gary Downey in the 80s.
The Kipper of Traken.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, and then they rehashed it for the reboot Who, but it wasn't as good because Gary wasn't involved with it and it wasn't as camp. But there you go.
That's crazy.
And it didn't have the Kipper of Traken.
It didn't have the Kipper of Traken at all.
They tried to make it. They made the mistake of trying to make it a serious cookbook. As for mad ideas, I'm sure that our chat will come up with something, Charlotte. The night is young. Talking about Tom Baker, have any of you seen this? Got this picture here. This is from Emerald City Comic Con at the weekend. Talk about being converted to the church here. There's that misery guts, Christopher Eccleston. Really getting into the swing of things. Not only brandishing his sonic screwdriver there, but wearing a Tom Baker scarf. JT, I never thought I'd see the day, mate.
I really don't care.
Maybe
We can tell.
for his autographs if he's wearing a scarf. I don't know. Just a thought.
Now, I suppose I'd wear pretty much anything that anybody asked me to if I was charging them 200 quid a picture.
Absolutely, yeah. Wear what costume you like if you're getting paid. You know, if you're paying us, you wear what you're told. But I can't be bothered with that.
Not that it's sold out. Chris Eccleston's definitely not sold out.
But it's a great picture. It's a great picture, isn't it? And there's lots of video surfacing around of him at Emerald City Comic Con, giving his views on his favourite Doctor Who stories and his take on on companions and all sorts of things. So the man, he's more loose-tongued than ever, I think. But also he started smiling. So we're really getting somewhere now with Christopher Eccleston.
It's
so there was
wind.
like a baby.
Maybe have beans for lunch,
he's
Simon.
smiling at me. It's all right. It's just wind. So we've got that one.
Come on, us Northerners do know what a smile is, just that Chris doesn't know how to do it majority of the time.
So we've got that one. If that wasn't anything to warm you, how about this one of him reunited with Billy Piper there, with Rose and the Ninth Doctor and a friend there, and K9 presumably back together there at Emerald City Comic Con. It's nice to see them. I think this is really nice to see them back on
that's a good photo.
Screen picture together, smiling properly. I think Billy looks like she may have, she's just drank a big cup of coffee or something. She looks a bit hyper, or ate a really big bag of Smarties. But and I love the dog. I don't know whose the dog is. So if that's your dog, get in touch with us, Instagram and Twitter at Type40 Doctor Who and all the rest of it. We'd love to know what his name is and how much they charge the dog.
How much training to get all the stuff on the face as well? Like if you've got a dog, you know that's a hard feat to get them to do anything. So to get that on the face and in the mouth is quite impressive.
But that is, Matt, that's the first time that I've seen Chris Eccleston and Billy Piper in a picture together. I mean, they may have a deliberate one.
It's the first time I've ever seen him smile, to be honest.
Wonder who the fuck's that? Yes, it's Christopher Eccleston. But he just, maybe it is the money. I don't know. Maybe he's just having fun. But I just find these pictures really sort of cozy and warm and nice. I know that Sarah Graham would be loving that. She's out there somewhere, starry-eyed girl. We have, Billy looks like she's done a drunken queef fart, says Problem Being.
Welcome back, Problem Being.
You missed you, mate, I think. I'm a side. I just decided to go with it, even once I saw what it was. Is that cut price K9? Asks Peter Harrington. I suspect it probably costs more to feed this one than it would K9. What do you think, JT?
Moving on.
I think it's a fabulous photo.
You own one.
It's the dog. That's all I'm looking at is the dog. He's definitely stolen the show as the dog.
It was auditioning for Blue Peter, I believe.
He has. Now, last week on the show, we were very, very excited, weren't we? because season 2 was announced as coming to Blu-ray.
yes, you were.
And JT, he gave us that pop-up merchandise paradise and filled us in on all the details of this wondrous set that's on its way at some time in the future. It's hard to get too excited about something until we know when we're actually going to get our hands on it, I think, Matt. But there it is in all its glory. 9 discs worth of Doctor Who treats from telly and all this fam that they've filmed since. But we all noticed that the cover to this particular box set perhaps wasn't as on the money as it usually is from Lee Binding. You know, I think many of us wondered if that likeness wasn't as good as it could be, but it's come to light, the picture that Lee has used for this composition. So just to satisfy your curiosity, Simon, because you mentioned it particularly, didn't you, how he looked a bit more
critical, so I'm going to apologise in advance if you're about to prove me wrong.
So he does look quite hawkish, doesn't he? But the picture has been tracked down. So this is the one that was used there. And I think he could have overdone the filters a little bit.
Oh, no, it's the mouth. I'm sorry, the mouth is all wrong. The mouth on Lee's, I'm really sorry, but it's nothing like Billy's mouth. It's the mouth that's the problem. Sorry.
Could be. It looks better from a distance, and it's tricky to do these things.
It looks like cartoony, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's too many lines on his face. There's too many lines around the cheeks. There's too many. No, there's too many. He's got too hooded a brow. No, I'm sorry. It's completely wrong. And the picture on the
hair
left
looks
very, very
terrible
clearly
too. The hair,
and the one on the right is very, very clearly Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. Sorry.
Not as cock on. Not as cock on as we're used to, I think, Charlotte. But you know, still a good stab. Maybe they'll tweak it before it appears. I don't know.
I think the problem is what Simon was saying. You've gone from a picture that doesn't have a lot of facial details, because obviously back in the day, like that's how pictures looked, to something with a lot of facial detail, like the eyes. That's what I'm noticing, that they look almost overdone.
Yeah.
Compared to the picture, like, because Billy in the picture has got quite dark eyes, whereas in Lee Bindings they look almost blue, like because they've been over stylized, or I don't know.
There'd be a lot of promotional pictures and that, surely. Even back then, they would have taken some proper actual photographs.
More seem to come to light all the time, don't they? And then they surface and people use them.
Know.
Sometimes they're in better condition than others, but generally speaking, I'm still very enthusiastic about this. And it's not. It's a minor criticism, isn't it? But one I thought that was.
Well, you won't get to see it all the time. So.
Well, let's just actually congratulate BBC Studios and the team that put Doctor Who the Collection box sets together, because last week it went straight in at number 1 in the Amazon.co.uk charts again, the 12th consecutive release. That went in straight in at number 1. So well done to them. It's really achievement. Not bad for a show that's nearly 60 years old and is proving without a doubt that proper Doctor Who from 1963 to 1989 will go on forever.
Yeah, and also the black and white. That's what's interesting. Like, this is the first black and white they've done, and it's done that well, which is, I hope, is just a sign to the BBC that this legacy is important. You protect it.
Yeah.
I think that the fact as well that we haven't got a release date on this, JT, but people are willing to pull the trigger anyway. I mean, they don't take the money until it comes out, obviously, but the fact that people don't want to risk missing this says a lot. We've got a couple more great pictures here. Can
I just say there, Dan? I did notice I saw something from HMV UK this week about something else, but it was all about their Christmas promotions. And the Doctor Who Collection Series 2 is part of that Christmas promotion. Now, by Christmas promotions, it usually means things that they're saying are in stock, Christmas windows, etc., etc. So hopefully it'll be by Christmas, December.
Well, I certainly hope to make for a great Christmas present. Watching black and white Doctor Who, it's very wintry, isn't it, Simon? It just adds something.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just perfect for wintertime and autumn. The black and white stories, they just are. They're very, very autumnal.
Staying with the season 2 stuff just for a moment. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not the season 2. Staying with the black and white stuff. We've got this picture from friend of the show, Chris Chapman. So he shared this recently on social media. This was Chris out there filming with Toby Haydock and Fraser Hines. They're at the location, aren't they, to the Abominable Snowmen, I think that is. Where is that exactly, Simon? Can you remember?
Wales is all I can tell you.
It's where they filmed. It's the same place they filmed the 5 Doctors, isn't it? I know that much. But there they are. They've got the box. They're out on location there, and a rather fetching pair of green wellies there that Chris is sporting.
I had to be honest, I was very impressed that it certainly looks like they've managed to put the TARDIS exactly where it was.
Yes.
Filming The Abominable Snowman. So, total respect to them for that. It looks great. It's just beautiful, that, isn't it?
And they found the cave and everything like that. There were pictures of them finding it. I mean, it's all going to be on that DVD and Blu-ray. It's so exciting to see all that.
Yeah. Snowdonia.
Snowdonia. But of course, nothing's perfect. And although they have put the TARDIS in exactly the same place, it's not the right TARDIS, is it? It's a later TARDIS, and people have noticed this. That's the TARDIS that they've used in Chris's picture there. And I know Doctor Who fans being as they are,
anal is the word.
Maybe they should have taken the box in black and white.
Well, fortunately, help was at hand from the Doctor Who community, and a TARDIS man himself, that's Aidan. Hello, Aidan, out there, if you are watching. He's come to the rescue digitally, and he's gone into Chris's picture. I do hope Chris doesn't mind. And he has replaced the pretender TARDIS there with the true 1967 TARDIS. There it is, in situation there from TARDIS man. Beautiful, isn't it? Just looks so
life's too short.
I think they did really well with that prop, considering that they had to get it to bloody Wales and put it up.
That looks like it's made out of concrete. That does.
I think it looks lovely as well. It's a nice homage.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
To answer Crimpling to Blue, I think it is exactly the same locations they used in Carry On Up the Khyber. I think it is the Khyber Pass.
It is. It absolutely is. Yes, it absolutely is. And that's a nice fact. It's one of the things that Carry On and Doctor Who share. But that's another show. We'll deal with that on another show.
Can we do a whole show on Carry On versus Doctor Who?
We have talked about a Carry On show.
I'm in that.
How about that for Panto season? Matt's in. I know JT's bloody in. He'll be down for that. We're all in. We're all in. That's brilliant news, Jay. We've turned into a soundboard, everybody. We've turned into a soundboard. That's brilliant news, JT. Congrats, BBC Studios. Looks like a wonderful box set. I'm going to get it, says Tony L. He's going to pull the trigger on that too. Jamie Knight says, I'll wait for the 16K deep fake full colour releases, but well done, BBC. There we are.
Jamie, give us a
I'm going to buy 2 and have a lovely pair. I am.
Dun, dun, dun. Now, we are ahead of another weekend, of course. Whatever you've got planned for your weekend, I hope you enjoy it. Keep it legal, please, and decent if you can. But I hope you enjoy yourselves. Whilst the Doctor Who community, our ears have pricked up at the news. Well, news that we were expecting, because we've been telling people about it for 2 months, when everybody else has been saying, they're going to tell us the title of the Centenary special. We're going to get a trailer. Weeks ago, we told you that the time was going to be August bank holiday. Of course, that's this weekend as of time of record. It's bank holiday Monday in a couple of days' time. And sure enough, the BBC it seems like they are going to drop a trailer. We don't know if it's for Doctor Who itself, but certainly for their Centenary season. That will be dropping over bank holiday. We've been told too by a fabled insider that they're going to officially confirm the title of the episode, and there'll be some sort of poster too. Charlotte, can you contain yourself?
Oh, I cannot wait for a poster. What position are you going to Photoshop Jodie into next? I cannot wait.
Where's the rainbow going to disappear this time?
Yes.
So, for those who weren't here on the last show,
I'd like to tell where to put the rainbow. Okay. Yeah,
we did. So we have every reason to believe that the special is going to be called "The Lives of the Doctor." This has not been confirmed yet, as word got to us that it was about to be confirmed, and then it was pulled. But we believe this is the title that they're going to be going with: "The Lives of the Doctor," and some sort of trailer and poster should be with us in 72 hours or so. Brace yourselves, everybody.
I'm sure you're counting it down, people, aren't you?
We are, JT.
It's only 90 minutes, everybody. It's only 90 minutes. But it does mean, of course, that better news is that we are within weeks of the end of the Jodie Whittaker era. She is on her way out. There's not much left. So now every cloud has a silver lining. There are more rumours attached to this. So we've got the Lives of the Doctor on one hand. That's the title that we're hearing. But this is our first silly rumour of the show. So this has been all over Digital Spy and various other places today, and all over social media. So another alleged insider at the BBC is claiming that the Centenary special, JT, is going to be titled not The Lives of the Doctor, which is pretty bad, but it's actually going to be called Dry. Just a one-word title, Dry. He's moved. I think we've lost him. We've lost JT, everybody. We've lost JT. Okay. So
all our silence. All
it's better than wet.
I'm not saying anything about that.
You know me better than that now. I don't give a flying toss.
Well, can you guess why? Can you guess why, Simon? They're speculating that the title. Can you guess why they're speculating that the title may be Dry? I'll give you 10 seconds.
It's actually very difficult to care, isn't it? I mean, does anybody care?
Possibly say live on air.
It hasn't been used in a while.
Yeah, fair enough. I shouldn't
say anything. I think no. I don't.
I've let myself do that. Okay, so the reason why people are convinced it's going to be called Dry is because Dry is a line in a Coldplay song. The song Yellow from around 20 years ago. Okay, now Jodie Whittaker herself, the actress. Jodie Whittaker herself is a massive fan of Coldplay, and this is apparently a well-known fact. So, allegedly, in the Centenary episode, as she's about to regenerate on this cliff top, she's going to sing Yellow, and they're going to hang on that lyric. I told you it was batshit, didn't I?
That is camp.
It would be a step up, JT. It would be a step
nightmare
up
as well, wouldn't it?
Oh my god!
I know.
Ridiculous rumor
Here's the thing.
I've ever heard.
Here's the thing. She has done a cover of this song. It was for like children in need, like 2 or 3 years ago.
I remember that. Yeah.
Maybe Coldplay will be sitting behind her, actually playing. Well,
no, they're too busy actually having lives and having jobs because they're on tour at the moment. Hugely, massively successful tour. They're in Glasgow and Edinburgh, I think, this week, or one of the two. So they'll be too busy to do anything with that. They were busy last year, weren't they?
That's what I mean. Apparently, it's not going to be Coldplay we're going to have to listen to if this is true.
The chat. Their imaginations are positively bubbling over with the possibilities of that. Archie Collins says it could be an acronym for Don't Run Yet. Well, could be.
But Dan, do you know what because like I said, I got sent this rumor and I just burst out laughing. Another part of this rumor is it's called Dry because Dr. D-R-Y Yaz. So he's doing like a shipping thing.
Oh, just stop it now. Stop it.
This show is turning into Crackerjack.
That is absolutely awful. Now, I don't know if you guys... Well, yeah, Robert Payne says Dry describes Chris Chibnall's writer's block. So we've got lots of comments like that. Sums up the current era as Julian Raxel. A lot of dry humour in it, speculates Duncan Shaw. And Paul Murray, he diagnoses that it should simply be called Damp Squib. Shaw from Geek Rambles is here. Hiya, Shaw says, I'm late, but I've just caught up. How many double entendres have there been so far? I think we're into double figures. But somebody out there is keeping count. Count your fingers and your toes and anything else that pops up. Ooh, madam, actress Ware. Good to see you, Shaw. Actress Ware says garbage.
Hi, garbage.
And the Darren Zone is here. Says Dry. Why? Well, looks like... Charlotte knows why. We'll just have to place our faith.
That's part of the rumor, and I was just like, but here's the thing: I don't think that's the title, but I can buy Chris Chibnall being like trash, like stupid enough to think I'm going to put a Coldplay song while she's regenerating. I can just see that.
Would they be able to afford it though? Could they have paid the bill?
Well, it would come with a hefty tag to use a track that big in the soundtrack to the show and license it to be screened all over the world. Tony L says Dry, that's a terrible title, but there's a rumor that 13 drowns and regenerates, so it could be connected to that.
Who's holding their head under the water?
The British public viewing public. That's who's done that.
I'm going to poo-poo this one. Quite viciously, in fact. I don't know if anybody remembers this, and I wouldn't forgive if you weren't paying attention. But last year, when they ran a series of Doctor Who called Flux, and it was over 6 weeks, you may have blocked it out of your memory, and I could understand why. But at the time, there was speculation that the season finale of Flux was going to be titled My Universe, and this was because at that time Coldplay had released a new album. And the sort of standout single release from it was called My Universe. Great track, to be fair. And it was, again, based on the conceit that Jodie Whittaker is a big Coldplay fan, and they were going to have that playing over it and blah, blah, blah. Exactly the same story, just put on remix. So file that one under B for bollocks, everybody. It's absolute stone cold bollocks. No question about that. And we'll keep dishing out the truths on more nonsensical rumours later on in the show. Now, if you'd like some more of this, there's more of it than you could possibly cope with, and your ears can stand if you head over to type40.podbean.com. That's our designated home feed, full of not just the audio versions of these shows, which you can play and play again to your heart's content and relive every double entendre, but the podcast itself, Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, well over 100 episodes of that now, and lots more recorded to take us right the way through to the anniversary year. Don't miss out on any of that. Why do we do it, everybody? Why do we do it? It's all for the love of Who.
Who.
The love of Doctor Who, of course. Is just like that fella, like a kid in a sweet shop.
I like where the gun's pointing.
Hey, do you know what I saw the other day? As I was going into B&M on the beginning of the hunt for the new action figures, guess what I saw, Spacebookers, in B&M? I saw Jammy Dodgers with blue jam in it.
What?
Now, is that acceptable? Pop us a postcard. Let us know.
No.
Let us know. Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who.
Blueberry Jammy Dodgers, Simon.
Jammy Dodgers. Does that signify that the world is in fact coming to an end? Let us know. We are in a parallel universe. Check out the Type 40 Facebook page. We could well be. Yeah, hit us up with all your favourite Doctor Who snack treats as well. What are you going to be getting in? Not just for the Centenary special, but for the winter season generally. What do you favour? Is it the Jelly Babies?
That they might be watching it. They have an off switch.
Or is it the Jammy Dodgers? Yeah. Yeah. I think certain members of the community are going to be watching it for very, very different reasons, aren't they? So we're going to have to do a straw poll about who's watching it and who isn't. I have to say the
blue hair people can have a blue Jammy Dodger.
They could do. Maybe that's what it's about. Yeah, it could be. We'll have Grub. He's got peckish. We'll ask all this talk of Grub. He's off to raid the larder there. People still have the orders. Blue jam. I think I could have put him off. Yes. Blue, we've got an answer. We've got an answer from Problem Being. He says that the blue Jammy Dodger
was blueberry. It was blueberry. Yes. B&M.
Answering the difficult questions.
To test them, please do. We are grateful.
Answering the difficult questions here on Type 40 Live as always. Yes. Let us know what you think of all of that and any other snack surprises. Talking about, I always get nostalgic though when I think about Jammy Dodgers. It's like wagon wheels, isn't it, Simon? They take me back to my childhood. I mean, Jammy Dodgers, wagon wheels used to be bigger for a start. I don't care what they say. But Jammy Dodgers,
they're like little now.
Easily.
It used to be on wagons.
Yes.
Definitely.
There's a reason why they were called wagon wheels.
Categorically true. And I think Jammy Dodgers were a bit thicker and there was a lot more jam in them and maybe a lot more additives and things like that. But there were other things back in the day that were a lot more good for us, weren't they? That were a lot healthier and we got just as much nourishment out of in days of Doctor Who gone by. And luckily we have the Doctor Who diary at hand to remind us of those things. Here on Type 40 Live.
It's a bit early for Simon.
Yes, it's
keeping him awake. That's what it is, because he's getting on.
Over to Simon Horton in the cozy corner for the Doctor Who diary.
Oh, we don't normally do this till after my bedtime. Well, I just don't know what to do. Right. Okay.
You can thank me later, buddy. You can thank me later.
We are indeed spinning back through the decades. And 8 years ago this week, you might have been settling down to Deep Breath, Peter Capaldi's premiere episode, or a little bit earlier than that, 54 years ago, you might have been settling down to The Dominators Part 3, 58 years ago, The Reign of Terror Part 3, but we're not talking about any of those this week, because we're going actually back 31 years ago to 1991. And there was an episode that was screened tomorrow, 31 years ago, in 1991, that had never been screened before. Anybody want to hazard a guess what that episode might have been?
What year was that?
1991.
Even I know.
Go for it, Matt.
Was it the pilot?
It was. 10 points for Matt Potts. It was the pilot
Hey!
that was screened on 1991, tomorrow, 28 years later than it was actually being produced. So it just took them 28 years to get round to this. It was screened on BBC Two as part of the Lime Grove story, which was an evening of programme marked the closing of the Lime Grove studios, because, of course, the pilot episode, An Unearthly Child, had been produced recorded in Lime Grove Studio D. And so this was the very first time we actually got to see the pilot episode. For anybody that hasn't seen it, you really actually do need to go and have a look at it. It's very, very easily available now on various DVDs and so on and so forth. I have to be honest, there's an enormous amount of pleasure when I watch it in the amount of fluffs and technical errors that are in there. I love the fact that the TARDIS doors just swing open with the most enormous bang.
And both at different speeds too, Simon.
Say again, sorry?
Both at different speeds too. Each door's
they really still show the doors. But my very, very favourite fluff in it is when Ian and Barbara try to get into the classroom early on in the episode, and they spend about half a minute just looking down, trying to manhandle for no apparently good reason this door to get it to open. It's bad. You've got to watch it. Sidney Newman, of course, the man who had created Doctor Who and had certainly commissioned the pilot episode, described it as the worst piece of work I've seen in a long time. So it really wasn't very popular at the time. And you've got Susan acting even more weird than
I like her performance in this one. I do.
But it really is a cracking episode. The highlight of the episode for me actually is the fact that you get to see the TARDIS interior visible through the doors of the TARDIS before Barbara goes.
Oh yeah,
TARDIS interior. Only time in the classic series that you ever see that, and of course you don't see it because they didn't screen it until 1991. They never recreated that. It's not in the transmitted episode of An Unearthly Child, so it's unique. So do you
think that was because it wasn't they didn't intend on remounting it as many times as they did they? Do you think that was a deliberate thing, or do you think it's because space was at a premium? Because they were filming this in Lime Grove, of course, weren't they? The BBC's Lime Grove facility.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, it was obvious. I would say it's obvious watching it that they fully intended you to see the TARDIS through the doors. Why they abandoned it for the remount, who knows? It's lost to the mists of time. We know that Human obviously demanded it be remade with various differences, and the differences aren't necessarily automatically apparent until you actually sort of watch it. If you watch one after the other, you'll immediately
you see a lot of differences. You can see, like you said, there's lots of bits that got cut out. The Doctor's quite a different figure almost in the on-air pilot, and like you said, Susan's just, you don't know what's going on with Susan at all. So there's lots of differences if you watch them back to back.
I believe there's a video on YouTube as well, but where somebody puts the two side by side, or that may even be on the box set. Come to think of it, but I think I've seen it on YouTube where somebody's put it visually side by side. It is fascinating to see in real time all those differences. Yeah.
And one thing that always mystified me was, I think it's on the DVD box set of the beginning. That's right. When they do an edited version of the pilot episode, but they actually correct some of the mistakes, which just seems utterly ridiculous to me. That's one of the things that I would really hold them up and say, why did you do that? I think they correct Susan getting the chart position of John Smith and the common men the wrong way round. I'm like, well, I don't understand why you'd correct that. The point of the pilot episode is you see it warts and all. You see it with its mistakes in it, and that's part of its charm. That's its beauty. I think that Shah sums this up here in the chat and says it's so beautiful and authentic, and I just love it. It's imperfectly perfect. That's spot on, isn't it? Yeah, that's absolutely it. And it's also, there's just so much care and attention thrown into it. And you can't help thinking that had they not done the pilot episode and made those mistakes in the pilot episode, you just wonder, maybe Doctor Who would never have taken off. Absolutely. Because the mistakes would have then been gone on to the transmitted version. And you just don't know whether it wouldn't have
I'm a total believer in that, because I think the Doctor was too alienating, and I don't think the audience would have responded to Susan. And Susan was supposed to be there on behalf of the audience as well, in a sense. So I think it would have been a massive flop had they gone with the pilot. But it's great. It's like watching a rehearsal.
Yeah, it is.
When they screened this in '91, Simon, I'd been reading Doctor Who magazine for years, and I'd been a Whonatic. I'd been and immersed myself in Doctor Who fandom with yourself and many other friends. And yet I still wasn't really sure what the pilot episode was. And when they screened it, I wasn't sure what I was looking at or why, because there was so little information out. Even in '91, wasn't the JT? Remember, there was so few reference books even then. There was Jeremy Bentham's early years book and a couple of others, but there were scant paragraphs that you'd pick up in these titles that would tell you very, very little. And Lime Grove, when they had that, it was the entire day, wasn't it, that was dedicated to the closure of Lime Grove Studio. So they didn't just show this, they showed numerous other gems from the archive. And I think I videoed it. I set the video, recorded as much of it as I could on long play. And I think I probably only watched half of it. But Lime Grove itself was a fascinating place, wasn't it?
Absolutely fascinating place. And so much of television history is there. And of course, so much of Doctor Who history is there.
So tiny, isn't it? It's like a squash court.
It was minuscule, Matt. I mean, this was the whole point. This was the argument that Verity Lambert had. She just kept on arguing that they should not be making Doctor Who in Lime Grove, or indeed then in Riverside Studios that they then went on to. That wasn't much different, to be honest. She wanted it to be made at Television Centre. So yeah, when you look at it and you wonder, and there are so many stories out there from people like Carol Ann Ford who say it was just sort of stifling. The heat in there was just absolutely unbearable. So they really made it under very, very grueling, difficult conditions. And again, it's a credit to them. They did it with very antiquated equipment as well.
It's a fascinating story. Will Hadcroft adds here, Simon, Sidney Newman didn't like the original entry into the TARDIS, according to the Origins documentary. We'll have to tempt, because Richard Molesworth is a friend of the show, has been on several times. We could tempt him on maybe next year for the anniversary, ask him a few things about this and about Origins, because that is it's certainly one of the seminal Doctor Who documentaries available on DVD or anywhere else. So maybe we'll put some of these questions to him and see if we can find out some things that he found out that he's never told, or things that are lesser known. We'll have to see what we can see, won't we? But Lime Grove, there's a certain romance about that era of broadcasting. And as much as I'd love to have gone on a tour around the Concrete Donut, around Television Centre. But now, after all this time, I think I'd like to go to Lime Grove even more.
It would be fascinating to go and have a look. And as I say, I just love to see that the equipment that they were working with, by all accounts, they were almost wind-up cameras, they were much better than that. So, I'd love to, it would be love to go back and just see them. Wouldn't you love to just have some fly-on-the-wall documentary footage from them filming that original pilot episode? Can you imagine? Just as a bit of a tempter, actually, for next year, I've been communicating with Tony Farrell today. Hello, Tony, out there. And we've been we've been talking about some of the stuff that is going to come into the diary for next year, for the 60th anniversary year, all around about those early years. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that, but it's some fascinating stuff we're going to be dropping into the diary for next year. So stay tuned for that.
There's a teaser for you, everybody. Type 40 Live here on the Facebook channel. Please like video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cluster bell so you don't miss any of the good stuff for the 60th anniversary year. What else is in the diary then, Simon?
Okay, moving on. We've got a couple of birthdays. And the first one is Annette Badland.
I love Annette Badland.
2 tomorrow. Annette Badland is 72 tomorrow. Of course, she played Margaret Blaine, also known as Blondfell Fochpas Mia de Slovene. It just trips off the tongue. And I've been rehearsing all day. And I hope I did it right.
Well done, sir.
Annette Badland says she's 72 tomorrow. Listen, folks. Dan, guess where she was born in 1950?
Hospital? No, see what I mean. Solihull. I'm going to say Solihull.
You're very, very close. Edgbaston. She was born.
Really?
Yeah. Annette Badland was born just down the road from Dan and me in Edgbaston, where they do cricket. Her first screen work was in The Naked Civil Servant in 19.
With John Hurt.
Yeah. She was just a minor bit part player, but she was in The Naked Civil Servant. And then Jabberwocky, I think it's a Monty Python film, isn't it? Jabberwocky.
Terry Jones directed Jabberwocky, I think.
Right, from 1977. And then her first TV, she's honestly, I say this every week, that their list of credits is my arm. But goodness me, Annette Badland, please don't bark, Lenny. That's the dog. I do apologise. Annette Badland's list of credits are literally off the page. I looked on IMDb and I have never seen a list of credits as long as Annette Badland's. She's been in everything. EastEnders, Bergerac, Coronation Street, The Demon Headmaster, Jackanory. We talked about Jackanory last week. Yes,
Dick Emery. She was on Dick Emery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
She was, of course, she was recently in the film Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think she plays Augustus Gloop's mother, does she?
Yes, she does. Now you reminded me.
And also she played, nobody will be surprised to discover that she played Madame Arcati in a stage production of Blithe Spirit. Of course she did, because that's just kind of perfect casting for Annette Badland. She's one of those actresses, isn't she? Let's be honest. I mean, she's a heavyweight.
She's a class act. Even when she's in roles that aren't necessarily classy, like a character in EastEnders, she's always a class actor. I could watch her in anything.
Well, again, she's one of those actors of the old school variety. She's actually an actor with a talent. I mean, when you look at the movie of Little Voice, you won't recognize her, but go and check it out.
I haven't seen her in Little Voice. That's the one with what's her name in?
Jane
Horrocks.
Jane Horrocks.
Jane Horrocks plays Little Voice herself. Yeah.
And she lives down the Danos Road, so he says in the live chat on YouTube. And the affection. Ask her to come on Type 40 Live. Yeah. Happy birthday, Annette, says Richard Brooks. And there's lots more greetings like that there. Shah says that Simon said Margaret's name, Slovene name. Simon said Margaret's name in Slovene so beautifully. My respect for him has gone even higher. There you go.
Shall I do it again? No, I daren't do it again because I won't manage to get it right second time. I won't manage to get it right second time. Can you talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds while I let the dog out?
Yeah, we're now turning into Blue Peter. From Crackerjack, we're going into Blue Peter now.
Yes.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, I mean, when this character of Margaret Slovene, it's a perfect example of the kind of villain that Russell T Davies creates, isn't it? From the outside looking in, JT, it's pure cartoon, isn't it? And yet over those 3 episodes, he gets in her head, under her skin, and literally sort of reinvents who that character is as a person and closes her story with an upbeat sort of message, doesn't she? I can't imagine another writer doing that.
I think that was possibly a case of, because we know that Aliens of London and World War III was filmed first in 2004 on the reboot Who. And I think Russell probably went, I've got Annette Badland here.
Yeah, let's use her.
Give her something to do, not just snarl at people for 3 episodes.
Yeah, because she would have been wasted if she just appeared in those 2 episodes. As brilliant as she is and as brilliant as she was, it was lovely to have her back in for that 1 episode where she's the main feature. Fantastic.
I agree, JT. I think she's better in Boomtown than she is in Aliens of London.
Oh, she's way better. Like you can, like JT said, she's the centerpiece. You really, and that scene with her in the restaurant with the doctor.
Yeah,
that scene is like when people talk about series 1, they usually talk about that scene because it's just electric between the 2 actors.
It's an episode that's grown on me over the years, definitely. How was that for vamping, everybody? Did we get by all right? How's Lenny now, Simon?
He's absolutely fine. He's been out. There he is. Say hello, Lenny.
Hiya, Lenny. Okay.
So yeah, he's been out. Sorry, when you got to go, folks.
Yeah.
From a dog to a wolf. From a dog to a wolf, Simon. What else have we got?
Oh, I like the way you did that, Dan. That was very deftly done indeed. Because today, Jessica Martin hits. Well, are we allowed to say how old she is? She's bless her. Jessica Martin is 60 today. Now, listen,
really?
To give her full name, you're going to like this. Jessica Cecilia Anna Marie Martin. There we go. That's Jessica Martin's full name. And of course, for those who don't know, she played Mags in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. But of course, she also played a very, very minor voiceover role. Here's your second pop quiz for the day. Can anybody remember what the minor voiceover role is that she plays in Doctor Who? Go on,
the Queen in Voyage of the Damned, wasn't it?
Oh, you all know it.
I can only remember because we did it on the Jubilee show a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's still a great fact. It's still a great fact.
You're quite right. Listen, get this. Guess where Jessica Martin was born?
Edgbaston?
No, Fulham. Sorry, couldn't resist it. Yeah, she was born in Fulham, and what I love about Jessica Martin, she got her big break as an impressionist when Rory Bremner met her at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and invited her to join his review group. Get that? So we've got Rory Bremner to thank for Jessica Martin hitting the big time. And of course, she did loads of work on Spitting Image. She's done loads and loads of voiceover. So she's done a lot of impressionistic work, a lot of voiceover work. But of course, in recent years, she's broken into doing comic books, and this all comes back to 2011 when she was touring in the musical Spamalot with Phil Jupitus, and she showed him some of her sketches that she'd done, and Phil Jupitus was blown away by them and said that she should do a graphic novel. And she says this was her light bulb moment because sure enough, that's exactly what she did. The first one was Elsie Harris Picture Palace, which was set in the 1930s. British film industry, and that was her first full-length graphic novel. And one of her most recent one, I think actually her most recent one is from 2019, which is a graphic novel of her very life story. It's called Life Drawing, A Life Under Lights, and it's her autobiography. So she's really, more than a lot of people, a lot of actors out there, she's managed to create an entire second career for herself.
Well, when I went to a comic book convention, I was touting for business myself. When I went to a comic book convention a few years ago, she was there, and it was very early on. I think she just got her first book out, and yeah, she is just a really nice sequential storyteller. I've seen some of her work, and it's got a unique charm to it. It's very much from a bygone era, and the lines are just. I can imagine that she's probably got a children's book or two in her as well. I'm really, really excited when I see people, wherever they're from, whatever they're doing, any creative endeavor where they can take something, a talent they may have had all their lives, and find a way to showcase it, to explore that side to them as well. I think it's an inspirational story, that everything that Jessica's managed to achieve throughout her career, but in the last few years, in particular for sorry, Jessica, if you're watching, but for people who are a little older, in middle age, who think they'll never get a chance to do X, Y, and Z, here is somebody proving that it can be done. I think it's a lovely story. Happy birthday, Jessica Martin.
Yeah, and of course, let's not forget what a brilliant job she does in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. We haven't even talked about that, but she's a knockout as a werewolf.
Oh, she's wonderful. Yes, a great character. You know exactly. Ace was in that too, and Ace obviously was a well-drawn character, but yeah, so memorable for somebody who was only in those 4 episodes. And the things that she had to do, the leaping around, the makeup, there was a lot going on in there, and she went at it with great gusto. And as you said, Simon, that this woman was, back in the 80s, she was a known, I don't use the word celebrity, I don't think that would be fair, but she had this huge career and a niche, and things were going very, very well for her. And so to play a werewolf on Doctor Who, it seemed like a step out of the comfort zone. But again, fair play.
She was very much. I don't know whether you guys can remember, but I remember that there was a great deal of excitement around her casting. I remember being talked about that this woman was cast because of the fact she had just such a well-known career from doing Spitting Image voiceovers and the like. And again, this is where we have to sort of salute JNT. Okay, he took some controversial casting decisions, particularly with guest stars, but very often he got it right. And one could see Jessica Martin, a voiceover artist from Spitting Image, as a controversial casting decision. But it's brilliant. You have to hand it to them that they did it in the 80s. It worked.
That whole question of is it stunt casting, that kept recurring, didn't it, in the 80s, JT? But I always felt it was quite unfair then, and it seems really hollow now.
I never thought Beryl Reid was stunt casting, but
that was.
Yeah. But when I was a kid, I didn't go, he's put that in there because that old lady's famous,
No, that was a different kettle of fish. Jessica Martin wasn't. Jessica Martin, if I recall rightly, John liked her. He met her. He liked her. And John, of course, because that was his background, he could see talent. Yeah. And he wanted to bring out other strengths of people. So if you were a comedian, he would say, do you want to do some drama? You know, and that was one of his strengths. And good for him, because he kickstarted a lot of people's second career, if you know, as what they were supposed to do, which is what they wanted to do, was straight acting. And he launched that for a lot of people.
JT, had Ken Dodd, had he done Shakespeare before or after Delta and the Bannermen? Before. Oh, okay.
He'd done that before, and John was aware of that. And also Ken Dodd was a massive draw. A massive draw. You know, he had a huge... Okay, it didn't translate back then, but since then, I've known people go out trying to look for the DVDs and the Blu-rays for the Doddy episode, you know. So, but yeah, it's all in context. It's all in context.
Context is everything, as we are want to say here at Type 40 Live. A nice selection of birthdays and other treats there in the diary, as always. Thank you so much for putting that together, Simon.
You're more than welcome. And just as a very final word, I've got to comment on this. We're not talking about it at all, but I can't not mention the fact that Doctor Who and the Daleks, the film, premiered this week in 1965. Gosh, we love that film. We've spoken about it lots, so we're not doing it now, but I couldn't not mention it. Happy birthday to everybody out there.
Check out our review of Doctor Who and the Daleks special feature, which featured the late Ian McLaughlin there. That's on the channel, or up at type40.podbean.com for that. There's more Dalek movie coverage to come here on Type 40 and Type 40 Live over the next couple of months. Don't miss that. In the meantime, what have they got to do, Simon, that's running along the bottom of the screen? You tell them. Go on, tell them.
They've got to hit the like button. They've got to subscribe. Come on, folks.
Good man.
Get your act together.
That's the spirit, everybody. Thanks again, Simon. Always love a bit of the Doctor Who diary. I love it, they love it, you love it, everybody loves it. Hey! And that does signal that it's that time again where you can go and pour yourself some more refreshment, or indeed expel some fluid in the nicest possible way, courtesy of the Type 40 ad break, that regular junction where we go back in time and look at some of the shameless things that our Doctor Who legends had to do in the past to put a bit of food on the table, and the things that they were flogging all in the name of entertainment all these decades on. So here's the Type 40 ad break. Enjoy all this, and we'll see you back here again in a couple of minutes for more of the latest Doctor Who talk, merchandise, all manner of other things. Stay tuned, don't miss it.
Hello?
It's me.
What? Is it time?
Don't panic. I'm just testing.
How do you feel?
I think I'm developing a blowhole.
You look wonderful. Womanly.
I can't tell what colour my pants are without taking them off.
Sensual. Curvaceous.
My bra was designed for Russian shot putters.
Kath.
To keep their shots in.
All right, given you look a tiny bit bulbous.
What?
Let's stop after we've had 5.
We're only having 1. I'm never sleeping with you again after what you've just said.
Don't call me for half an hour unless it's an emergency.
This is an emergency. I'm fat.
You're not fat. You're just keeping our baby warm.
You always say the right thing. That's how I ended up like this in the first place.
Cellnet let people who can't be together talk. We're the big network.
With his familiar pint of skull, Trevor looks like a normal scholar, but he is in fact a hyper-intelligent mega-being from a distant galaxy, which means he can score 180 at darts. With his eyes closed. Beat the space invaders at their own game.
Oh no, it's Trevor.
He can even transmit telepathic commands.
2 pints of skull. I a very great one.
Naturally, Skull can't turn you into a hyper-intelligent mega-being with superpowers. But when you know lager, you're a scholar.
Hey guys, come look at this!
Step into another dimension and discover the new Seen It Doctor Who edition. A DVD game that's bigger on the inside, with a galaxy of real Doctor Who clips that test your knowledge, trivia questions, and puzzlers from the first 3 series, including
The Evolution of the Daleks!
Seen It Doctor Who edition, now available on Planet Earth.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live. I hope you enjoyed the adverts. I always do. There's a few of those I haven't seen for a little while, particularly that game, that Scenic game. I've never played
I've
one
got
of those.
that.
You've got that, have you?
It's brilliant.
I think
Is
I've
it really?
played it.
I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. If I could play it on YouTube, then we could all do it because it's brilliant. I'll have another look at it and see what we can do.
That would be, you know what? I bet we couldn't play it on YouTube because it would set off the copyright things.
The copyright thing, yeah. But there's other things we could possibly do. We'll have a meeting.
Well, if we have to get like a membership program or something like that, if we have to do some things like that as added content, we could do that on Zoom, and it would be perfectly fine, and we could play that and put it out as a video somehow. I think that could be a lot.
I love seeing it, and I play it by myself these days, and I get it right all the time. It's brilliant.
Of course you do, JT.
Even better that there's lots going on out there in the Doctor Who world. It's basically people expelling gas through chatter as this extended silly season rolls on. It is driving people into being Slovene, yeah, because people in the Doctor Who community, when we don't know what's coming, we have a habit. I'm not going to say we, I'm not including myself or any of us in this. They have a habit, certain characters, of making shit up. And I think that's what's gone on a lot over the last few weeks because, of course, Ncuti Gatwa, he was confirmed as the next full-time Doctor. Notice I'm not saying the 14th Doctor. As the next full-time Doctor, that was confirmed about 3 months ago now. And he is the only cast member that we know yet that's in place for Series 14. Now, tradition does dictate that there will be somebody at his side, a plucky companion, as is just as traditional in the new series of Doctor Who as the classic. But who will it be? What's going on? Where are they going to cast from? How wide has the net been thrown out? Who could possibly be in the frame to join the cast of Doctor Who from 2024? We're thinking onwards. I haven't got the faintest idea, and I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But that doesn't seem to have stopped practically everybody else, does it? So, the history of Doctor Who, such as it is, over these 60 years, I think J&T said, didn't he, that he's had to find out the hard way that things tend to work best when there's one Doctor and one companion. I'm never really sure whether that's true or not, but it's probably the classic combination. And if you want to break down the series to its sort of component parts, that does seem to be endures, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah, always.
Why do you think that is? Is it that? Do you think it could be because a connection between two characters in a high octane situation, when it's particularly when you drop them into an alien environment where they're the outsiders, that it's when we see that. Go on, sorry.
When you get it, it's all right. When you get it right, it works so well as far as the two characters. They just work off and play off each other to the point where you care about both of them. If there's I have always found that if you have way too many companions, it just doesn't work. Yeah, you could have a male and a female, like Patrick Troughton used to have. They work, that worked well. But there was that little bit of extra danger when there was a companion. You didn't know if the companion was going to make it because the Doctor always could regenerate, but not a companion.
The companion couldn't unless they were a Romana, of course. That's a good. What do you think works so well about that model, JT? Or do you think it's a bit of a myth about the Doctor Who saga?
No, I don't think it's a myth at all. I think it's an actual fact. I think one Doctor, one companion is the format that has to be adhered to. If you look at the fact that for a writer especially, never mind for the production and whole, but for a writer especially, it's easier to have the two strands. And traditionally, Doctor goes that way, companion goes that way, and there's two sides to the story in one story, in one adventure.
A plot and B plot, yeah.
Absolutely. But if you go off anymore, then you become like poor old Adric, Nyssa, Turlo, Chameleon, all these other things. Even in the reboot Who, that's been seen when there's been more one character around. Rory is a prime example of that. In some of the episodes, he's just forgotten. It's a real case of they got lost in the mix because you've got your main you've got your lead, and then you've got your second lead, if you like. So one Doctor, one companion, and as you mentioned at the top there, J&T always said he found out the hard way, but it took him a few years to get back to one Doctor, one companion, and that's how it remained for the rest of his run.
And how I look at it, Simon, is that they aren't, I think, to use the expression sidekick, it stinks a bit of Batman and Robin, doesn't it? And I don't really think, I'm not saying that Doctor Who has never drifted into that territory with it, but I don't think that was the intention when the show was first on screen, and I certainly don't think it was the intention with the new series of Doctor Who. We're looking at a clipping here from the Radio Times as the series was about to launch, and this bills Carol Ann Ford and William Hartnell. Yeah. So they're given arguably equal billing there, aren't they, in the very first piece of Doctor Who publicity material?
And actually, I have to be honest, I disagree. I think more than one companion works brilliantly. I think that first TARDIS team, where there are 4 of them, is just at optimum number, actually. I think it's perfect. I also, controversially, I like the 80s team of Nyssa, Tegan and Adric, and I think they do work. It doesn't cause me a problem. I certainly never, as a kid and as a teenager, thought there was a problem with having too many companions. And in fact, I liked it because I liked all of the companions, and so I enjoyed seeing them. And as anybody will know, who knows me well, knows I hate this term "fam" that has come out of the series. But
I think we're all starting to gradually forget that now, aren't we, Charlotte?
That really rankles with me. But that TARDIS family, for want of a better word, from the 80s, the Peter Davison one, no, it worked beautifully for me. I have to say, as it did with the original TARDIS team from 1963. And I think the key to it isn't necessarily having too many people or only having one person. It's just having good characters. So if you look at those the first 3 companions, for want of a better word, from 1963, they all had such distinct characters and they all had a reason to be in the narrative. And so it worked. So I think it's just a case of you've got to write strong characters.
I suppose, Simon, though, back in 1963, the reason why there were so many of them is because they knew they were going to keep the show on. Well, no, actually, because it was 13 weeks originally, wasn't it? But I suppose they knew that if it was successful, it could be running most of the year. And so it's to spread the workload as well, wasn't it? Because it was a heavy schedule.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the 80s, it was different, wasn't it? It was a lot different.
It was completely different. And so, yes, it was a logistical reason in 1963. It was an artistic choice, a narrative choice in the 1980s. But as I say, it still works for me if you could. But of course, the truth of it is, JT is quite right. And makes it a lot harder for writers to come up with the goods. Of course, it's harder to split them off into different. And a story like Terminus is the absolute classic example of what characters don't necessarily. It's just interminable watching Tegan and Turlough scuttle around in those air ducts because they just didn't know what else to do with them.
So the other danger of that, of course, is that if you've got that many companions, you can have one of the regulars dominating the other regular. So you could have Tegan always, I felt, dominated Nyssa, just because of the characters, But that whole the situation you're given there with Terminus, they could have done a little bit more with that, i.e. cutting the scraping underneath, but also getting that bond between Tegan and Turlough, because they actually, towards the end of it, they liked each other. So that could have been made more of.
They found an understanding, didn't they? It just took quite a while. Charlotte,
but it could have started there in those scenes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you mention it. I think that could have been the intention. Could have been, and then as soon as they found that new understanding, they were separated.
I don't think it was. I think it was just the fact. Look, what do we do with those two? Stick them under the floorboards,
But Charlotte, by the time the series came back in 2005, I'd say that the casting of the companion was how they approached it. Was the casting of the companion was just as important to get that right as it was the Doctor, for both the dynamic of the storytelling, the trial and error of 26 years worth of on television escapades before they tried to learn from the classic show and to sort of remodel based on what had been successful and what hadn't. But also in 2005, there was a real sense of a pressing attempt to make it stick, that this was a show that was led by two people, not one. What do you think?
Oh yeah, because if you look at the first episode of the revival, it's called Rose. She's the main character. Like, the Doctor's there and he's not sidelined, but he's not the center point. He sort of flips in and out. And I think that also worked for Eccleston's Doctor, because it added this sense of mystery to him, but you really got to know Rose. And you really you can tell with Russell, he was trying to get a lot of, this is Rose's life before the adventures. And he wanted you to understand that and to recognize bits of it, possibly like my generation watching it. The fact that she worked in a shop, the fact that she had a mum who nagged her, like those little things that were purposely there so the audience could connect. And I think the best of both worlds, honestly, is to start with one companion. And then once you've situated that first companion, you've started with their backstory a bit, you've started building up the relationship, then introduce a second one. Because, like Simon was saying, the dynamics can be so much fun when you've got two companions. I think of, like, classic for me, I love Jamie and Victoria. Yeah. Because you've got Jamie, who's this sort of somebody from the past who's a bit rough, who's a bit doesn't think, he just goes to do stuff. And he can, like, put his foot in it a bit. That's what I love about him. And then you've got Victoria, who's this hyper-intelligent being from the future. Yeah, and you just have that classic personality.
Perfect.
I've always liked the fish out of water companion, you know.
That's what Jamie was as well.
And that's what's been missing. Yeah, and I mean, you had Zoe that was from the future, you know, and so they were just like, they were actually treated like that, you know.
That probably wouldn't have been a viable approach for 2005. But I think, and even though there's going to have been a gap by the time the show comes back again in 2024 properly, the public still have at least that rudimentary understanding of how the show works, so they could possibly play with that. Richard Brooks in the chat says somebody from the past or an alien, so people have ideas about what they'd like to see and what they wouldn't. Shah also says, please do not have a companion from the modern Earth.
Yes.
Lots of people say that. David Hammond says that too. Yeah, that's a common complaint. It does, but it also, in the here and now, though, it is the sensible way to go to establish, as you were saying, Charlotte, if you want to establish something from episode 1 and then open up. So I've got no real wants of this one way or the other, JT. I'm happy to wait and see who they bring us. And I suppose the dynamic with the Doctor himself is going to be the crux of it. That's got to be right, and whatever the opening story's going to be.
There's several elements that have to be right. Yes, okay, you have to have chemistry between your two main leads, but you have to have a character, so the writing has to be spot on. I would love to see a companion from the past, or a companion from the future, or an alien companion, but something inside tells me that Russell will just kick it off like he did again in 2004 to 2005, and kick it off with the modern day, where Ncuti meets some young lady walking down the street having a bag of chips, and they'll try and root it in the modern day, which, you know, I would love it if they did something different, and you know, it goes back to the past or the future or an alien planet, and you know, he meets a female humanoid from that story. I think it would be different. I mean, people seem to forget Leela worked beautifully, Romana worked beautifully. You know, it's just a shame. It's a wasted opportunity, because it's just been predictable now, hasn't it? Spaceballs. It's just had the same character, just with a different costume.
You mentioned earlier on, JT, context is everything. And for example, you probably couldn't have started with a new Doctor, say, from Robot. If Leela had been the companion in Robot, that may not have worked so well. But the fact that he'd been in the role for 3 or 4 years, he was established, so they could bring in this character who was so wildly different. And the audience would just go with it because they trusted the Doctor, even if they didn't trust her.
Well, you're coming on the back of Donna this time, aren't you? Because you've got the David Tennant and Donna Noble thing. So you're coming on the back of that. But I think the British public now understand Doctor Who a lot. You know, it's been around for 60 years next year. We know this show. We know the ins and outs of it. We know what to expect. I think you could throw any character in there, as long as it's a good written character.
So
exactly. I think it is, as I say, it's all down to the writing again. I think really what has been lost in recent years is that oh gosh, I was going to use the word diversity, and I'm going to stop myself from using that word. But the fact that it's not EastEnders where all the characters are all going to be of a certain, and I think we've lost that. I think part of the beauty of Doctor Who is the idea that sometimes it's one companion, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three, sometimes they're human, sometimes they're not plastic, and that to me is part of the interest. So although I've said I like those sort of team companions, which I do, my favourite companion is obviously Sarah, and the relationship between the Fourth Doctor and Sarah is just possibly the most beautiful relationship that the show has ever seen, and that's just two people together, and that's because you get a completely different dynamic then, because it's just two best mates, and you see it again with Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper. It's two best mates kicking around the universe. So I think there's this terrible tendency, which has happened of late, is just to get bogged down in these crushingly boring modern day companions and forget about the fact that Doctor Who is about differences, and we just want to see, look at the companions that are on screen now. They're all so radically different, and that's part of the success and the joy of Doctor Who. It's the differences.
Yeah, and it's also for the reactions. That's why I want to have a non-modern day, because you get sort of the same reaction a little bit. Whereas if you've got somebody from the past, you put them far in the future, like that's going to be almost an overload of like information and what they're seeing. And I would love just to see, like Matt said, that fish out of water, that sort of having to, on top of learning to be to be on the adventures and to be with the Doctor, an extra thing of just learning, God, there's going to be so many new worlds that I have no idea what I'm doing. Like
somebody from a radically different way of life, even if they were from a world that was similar to our own. It doesn't have to be a world that was that's sort of the equivalent to being prehistoric, or so far in the future that they don't know what money is. But if they were from a planet that was slightly different to ours, just in key social ways or cultural ways, who knows where they could go with that? There's so many avenues left untapped, I think, JT.
Absolutely, and this is what they've lost in the reboot Who, because it has always been, or it must be relatable to the audience. Oh please, it's a fantasy, it's a science fiction show, bring it in. I would love to see, come 2024, episode 1 for Shooty. I don't want any of that regeneration blah blah nonsense afterwards, like they did with Chris. Start it again. I would like to see Shooty turn up in the past or the future, and that's where he meets his new companion. You don't need to explain the regeneration. If anything, it's boring now. All that foo-foo. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? We've done it so many times.
Yeah, I suppose every time is a new generation of kids. First time there is now. I think we have to try and keep that in mind. That what you're just talking about.
We don't this time, because you're going to get that 60th anniversary self-contained few episodes, and then him coming in allegedly, possibly at the end of it. And then it can be future. True. I mean, they will. You don't need to do it now, because
there was a character. There was a character, JT, that was kind of as you described, and I think that it was a pity with hindsight that I didn't recognise it at the time, and I don't think the writers did. I think they could have gone somewhere with it if he was in it for longer. That's Nardole. He was very different to any other character in every sense, and we came we came close to really unwrapping that character, but it never really happened, because it was just that one series of 12 episodes and a couple of specials. But I think that could have been really, really interesting. It's a shame. I always say this. Jenna Coleman left a season too late, and by all rights, we should have had another season with the Doctor, Bill, and Nardole there. I could have definitely have stood that. But companions, we talk about doctors who cast this long shadow. I think there are certain. Okay, look, let's be honest about it. The general public, some Doctor Who companions, they remember better than others, don't they, Matt? And I suppose when there's so many of them and they come and go, that's only natural. It's nothing personal, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, only a few of them back then were like Leela and that were actually action figures, weren't they? So
some of them become iconic. I think we've mentioned Leela several times. I think there's a reason for that.
So through publicity and everything, you had Sarah Jane, who was on there for years. So of course other people would have seen her a lot,
But then again, Matt, in Britain, Leela won't be as recognisable as Sarah Jane Smith or Joe Grant, because they were in it for longer. As you say, they both did 3 years. Leela only did 1. Yes, you may have got an action figure about it, but the general public didn't rush out and buy it. You know, it was a niche audience. I mean, I would always say to any new actor coming in, actress coming in to take the role of the Doctor's companion, not only do you need to understand, you need to act, you need to have talent, obviously, but not only do you need to understand how to interpret the writer's script, in this case, Russell T Davis's character breakdown and the script, but I would say go back and look at Sarah Jane Smith with Elizabeth Sladen and Katie Manning with Joe Grant, because they're the ones, they are the two. They're the two that everybody else has to reach to. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody has. No disrespect to anybody who came after, but I think that they're the two. It's Liz and there's Katie.
I would agree. I would agree 100%. I think also part of the problem is I think there is a danger often to create a character of a companion and just hook something on them. So you know, it's
like being a lesbian.
Characteristic. Just say, right, that's their defining characteristic. So that's what we're going to create around it. And somehow you've got to create the character first, rather than just hook something onto it, because then you haven't got a depth of character. I think if you look at those classic series characters, they came up with the character. They characterized the entire character rather than just saying, "Oh well, Sarah is a journalist." No, they had oh, there we go. Katie, Joe Grant is sort of just the slightly scatty one. They came up with an entire character, and then they worked with the writers, and then it came out in the writing, and so the character developed, and then you got the right actor or actress for the part, and that's what you do. I think there's just this terrible tendency these days just to think, oh, all you got to do is you just make Bill's a lesbian. Okay, that's Bill's defining character. She's a lesbian.
She was a lesbian? I had no idea.
And I think there's this. I think there's a danger that they think once they've said, "Oh, Bill's a lesbian," it's like, "Oh, okay, that's all we need. Brilliant. We know what to do with that." That's not enough. It's just not.
No,
enough.
it's like Rory suffered from that at the beginning because he was just Amy's boyfriend. He was just like an extra hang on.
Absolutely.
Some do stick more than others. Some do stick more than others, and some are developed more than others. And I suppose sometimes it's more. It can be more to pressing concerns. People want to move on, or plans change. But yeah, the several, I think, as the decades go on, that get more appreciated after the fact. I mean, we're now at a place where Sophie Aldred's Ace and Janet Fielding's Tegan are about to appear on screen again. Apparently, there are going to be several other characters are going to be back in the Centenary special. These two ladies played my two favourite companions of the 1980s. So, you know, one can imagine how I feel about the Centenary special and their return being under the watch of Mr. Chris Chibnall. I'm not exactly thrilled about this, as pleased as I am to see these two ladies back on screen, and it's been nice to see these characters again. In that respect, because they were such a massive part of my childhood. Mark Milford in the chat asks, "Is there any truth to the rumor that Ace and Tegan are going to be leading their own spin-off series of X-Files type adventures?" I'm going to say now, Matt. I'm going to call it. I think the word starts with a B. What would that be?
Yeah,
everybody, it's bollocks. Bill? Of course it is.
Yeah, who was it who asked? Was it Will who asked that question?
Mark Milford asked that
one.
No
the whole thing about this now is that, you know, it is a bit of fan wank, to be quite honest, isn't it? It's another one of those desires by certain fans around. We can't actually say no, it's not going to happen. The simple reason we don't know what's going to happen in this new version.
Sometime down the line.
And everything that's coming around it. So, but again, it would. Who, apart from fans, would watch Tegan and Ace, who never met in the original series? So, who, apart from it'd be a very small audience. If you're going to do, again, depending on the format of what they're going to do, if it's a whole channel just about Doctor Who, then only fans are going to watch it anyway. Let's face it. But if they're going to do these things, it has to be watchable to a bigger market, and it has to be mature. I reckon if there's going to be any spin-offs initially, it'll all come from Shooty's era.
Yeah, I think so as well.
We've got a couple of comments here to get into. JT said it perfectly. After 60 years, the public knows this show. That's why the viewership is non-existent, because this that we've recently had isn't Doctor Who. Sadako 24.
Yeah,
they can't recognise the cornerstones of the brand, if you like, of the model of storytelling. It's like having Snow White without the 7 dwarves hanging around. What is this? What am I watching? They should never have gotten rid of Romana, says Sadako 24 there. People, everybody's got their favourites there. So that goes good to see you so loyal to Romana, but
we should never got rid of Sarah Jane.
Robert Payne says, let's not have a companion dealing with a psychological issue either.
No,
there's a fine line between
what Simon was saying, and it's absolutely spot on, because if you're going to get that with a companion, boring. It's so EastEnders, it's so soap opera. Doctor Who is a science fiction fantasy. It should be fun. Just give us the Doctor and his friends running around the universe through time and space, fighting monsters, and give us some entertainment for crying out loud.
We want characterization. We don't necessarily need angst. Problem being raised a good point here. Moffat missed a trick by not using the Victorian incarnation of Clara. Charlotte, do you agree with that?
Oh yeah,
yes.
I can't stand modern day Clara. I think she's needy, she's bossy, she's selfish. I just can't stand her.
Yeah,
and it's like Victorian Clara would have been perfect for what I was talking about. The wonder of her seeing the universe would have been lovely, and she didn't have that.
Technically, she was the same Clara.
Oh yeah, technically she's just a lot more likable.
I've always said the same about Amy.
Moffat was being smart.
The young Amy running around with the Doctor than the old Amy. I loved that young Amy.
I think a lot of people did. Obviously, Karen Gillan has become iconic too, as Amy Pond made a huge impact in that character. Now gone on to a major film career based off the back of hitting big as Amy Pond at exactly the right time. Gary Akers, the Retro Doc, says the companion can't be from too far in the past though, like Katrina, because that presents writing difficulties.
Point, Retro Doc. Yeah, it is an interesting point, but they proved it. What you could do with a character from, say, Jamie's time, as they did with Jamie, for example, is you develop that character, because that character suddenly has to get used to the fact that she is in the TARDIS, and that suddenly you've got all this, and there's a Dalek in front of you, and oh look, there's a Cyberman, and you've got to run for your life. So that character is instantly and very, very quickly going to adapt. If you look at Victoria, her story is beautiful actually, because she was born in Victorian times, but look where she departs. It's
same with Jamie as well. Same with Jamie.
Yeah.
It's an arc.
Back, doesn't he? So,
it's the kind of arc you can't get on any other TV shows, and it's Simon.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. This is the beauty. I just think it's so easy to forget why we're watching Doctor Who, and it's because we don't want to watch EastEnders, and so there's a danger of turning Doctor Who into EastEnders or Hollyoaks. No. We're not interested in that. We watch Doctor Who for completely different reasons, because it is unique, and it's just so easy to forget that. And certainly, if you look at, and we're not going to dwell on this, but if you look at the Chibnall companions, they're all kind of cool in inverted commas. I'm sorry, no, we're not interested in cool characters.
No.
Cool, we're all geeky. That's what
we want character. We want character.
I think the problem is, like we sort of said this, that some producers are just thinking, they have to just be relatable. It's like, I can't relate to most of the companions I love, because I don't share any like life experiences like them at all.
Exactly. That was always the way, even from when we were kids and watching Doctor Who back then. Although, I'll speak for myself, even though I was terrified that Sarah would get attacked every week or something, and I was absolutely desperately looking after her as a viewer and worried about her, you couldn't relate to her, and you didn't want to relate to her as much, because she was on another planet, being terrorized by robots and, gothic creatures with no heads. It was bizarre. So,
I just wanted to escape from my daily life, and it used to be an afternoon show for us, so I'd be at school getting bullied and God knows what else, and then I'd come home and I'd watch Peter Davison on Doctor Who, and I'd be off into another planet,
exactly.
And that's what I miss.
Well, I think the appeal of it, certainly in the 80s, was that pure, and it probably is to children. I think that's probably been a step and repeat throughout the decades. Got an interesting question here from our friend JFO. What does JFO stand for? Did we ever find out? He'll tell us later. No. He or she will tell us later. Do you guys think there is any chance Russell casts a man as Shooty Gatwa's companion?
Yeah, I thought of this. Yeah.
I don't think he will, though.
I don't think he will either. So we're 50-50.
We've got two no's. We've got a maybe from you, Simon, or
we've got a maybe, but I think it's just going to be far more. I think it's going to be a non-binary kind of transgender. I don't think it's going to be. And I'm not saying one way or another way that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I think it will be. I don't think it will be as simple as a male or a female companion.
I think if he goes down that route, he's lost the audience, because here in the United Kingdom, we are not accepting all that nonsense. We're not accepting all this personal pronoun nonsense. We're not accepting all this other stuff. And I know his personal opinion, but he has to leave that out of the show. I would expect him to go back to basics: a male doctor with a female companion.
JT, here's an interesting question for us that I've never really thought about before. Do we think that Russell is going to be coming to this? Obviously, he's going to be coming to it from a different standpoint that he came to it in 2004. But do we think that in 2004 he would have been less willing to take those kind of chances? Whereas, is he now coming back to the show with a degree of overconfidence, the fact that he is returning to the fold, and that might give him just a slight edge of that we might all come to regret, because he might feel a little bit more arrogance is not a fair word, but I can't think of a better one at the moment, that he can get away with more stuff than he did in 2004.
I think because of the state of the show, he might want to do that. He might personally, like we said, we know what Russell's like, but I think the show's in such a bad state that he will have to go for some of this as back to basics.
But
that's why. But I think this is what I think Russell could do. I think he will understand that what we've said, the Doctor and the companion, that is your core bit of the show. That is the bit that everybody recognises a lot. That's the thing that's sort of talked about. If you don't mess with that, and maybe on the outside stuff, you can be a bit more experimental. But when it comes to Doctor and companion, you cannot, like I said, we've seen how having Jodie and her companion relationships just not work has really affected the show. We've had it now point blank shown to us. I think Russell's going to have to toe the line in that regard and go, no.
But I don't think he will.
I think
the point that you've raised, Simon, is really interesting. I've not even considered that before, and I have to give that some thought.
No. I'm just thinking. I have a horrible feeling he won't think along the lines that he needs to think along, which is character narrative. I fear he will come with a degree of overconfidence that'll mean he thinks he can get it right in the way that the Chibnall era didn't get it right.
Or pick up where he left off, unaware that the public could be in that different place all that time.
I think it's interesting, because Simon, I understand what you're saying, and actually it's a great fear of mine that he's going to do that, because we've seen him ranting several times over the last few months.
That's what worries me.
I am now convinced that the only reason he has put, and I hate to say it because it shouldn't be like that, but I feel the only reason and we haven't seen the episode yet, so I might be wrong, and I hope I am. I'm hoping that I feel the only reason he's put a transgender character in this show now is simply to get on people's nerves. I just have that in the back of me. So I hate to say that, and I hope it's wrong. I do think he'll come at it with some sort of, because he is very angry. He's a very angry man. Yes. And I think that might come through, and I hope it doesn't. But I do have, at this stage, right now, as we are broadcasting right now, I have faith in Julie Gardner and Jane Tranter and those that have got an invested interest financially in this show, for them to be able to say, you've just come from one almighty flop. We have to make money now on this show because we've got BBC Studios investing a lot of money, Bad Wolf investing a lot of money. We need to get the revenue back from sales of the show. We need to get public support, and we need to sell merchandise. And if that doesn't work, there's no money coming back, and you've just wasted so much money into making this thing look good. I have faith in Julie and Jane, and if I'm proved wrong next year, the year after, I'll be one of the first to say it.
I think you're right. I've always had, in the past, I've been a big fan of Russell T Davies, and I was thrilled that he was back, and I'm still generally pretty optimistic, but I am much more confident in Bad Wolf than I am in Russell T Davies, because they are obviously, they are still quite a young company. They are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it seems that they are sighted. They have a plan for Bad Wolf, not just for Doctor Who. Doctor Who is going to be a cog, a big cog in Bad Wolf, but it is still just a cog, and they're not going to have taken that on unless they weren't prepared to put it to work for them to get where they need to go as well, rather than to look after this old warhorse almost as some sort of pity project. That's not where they're going with it.
Bad Wolf have to understand that they, along with BBC Studios to an extent, are the custodians now of a British institution.
I'm certain they do.
And I hope they do, because if they get this next reiteration wrong, It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. There is not enough of the Whittaker Chibnall fans left to sustain it. No. You know, I don't even believe personally that the 2005 to 2000, wherever we are now, version is going to last 50 years. You know, I don't think people remember it. I don't think they'll revisit it. I think it'll go. I think it'll always be 63 to 89 because that's got character. It's got story.
You're nodding your head, Matt. Do you agree? Do you agree with JT?
Absolutely. Yep. I've always felt that. You know, I mean, I can't even go back to the 2005 episodes. I can't watch any of that. I can't watch any of it. I've got to go back to the classic because that's where I know that there's no politics. Nothing's ever been, you know,
it doesn't.
said.
I know several people who feel that way, that they can't watch that. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with all of it, thank heaven. But I know several people who feel that way because of where it leads. I want to look at this comment from Andy Blake in the chat who says that Russell T Davies should dispense with the companion conveyor belt, establish a new norm where the companion can drop out, drop back in again, allowing for interweaving them into recombinations. It's a storyline generator and would allow longer character development. Generally, they're cut off too soon and we repeat the basics with another one. That's not change, really. That's interesting what you say, Andy. I think they have tried that with several characters. I think they particularly tried that. They definitely tried that with Clara and during the Capaldi era. There, they had a playful relationship. As I think they had a playful mentor and student relationship.
Where's that picture from? Let's just point that out before anybody else does.
And I think that well, they did. They had this. They'd gone from one situation. They'd gone from one situation to another, where she was with this man. She met this man who was a Peter Pan type character. This young man who was fast on his feet and good looking. And next thing she knew, he was this grumpy Scotsman. And I think they played with that beautifully. But during that first season with Capaldi, of course, he did keep dropping her back to her job. And to this romance that was sort of blooming and then not. And then there was times in between. Sometimes it'd be a few weeks later they'd connect again. Sometimes a few months. And I think that Stephen Moffat, I think he was right to do. I think that was what you are looking for, Andy. I think that's what they tried there. It was just that Stephen Moffat, it wasn't done as effectively as it probably could have been. I don't know.
I never liked that, and I think it's ridiculous. If you're going to meet a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey who can offer you all of time and space and adventures that will blow your mind and sights that you never dream of, why would you want to come home and work in a shop? Just get on with it. Just get on the show and off you go.
And then, JT, not just do it, then have a moan about it when you just want to shut up.
Yeah, I mean, he's in a time machine. He can bring you back 3 or 4 minutes after you've gone. I don't like that. If you're going to have a companion, you go on that trip and you do it, and you don't bring them back all the time. Go on the adventures. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it matters how. I remember being really critical of this particular companion doctor relationship at the time because it just didn't work for me, because I felt there was no continuity. I didn't feel invested in Clara because she was always off doing something more interesting, and then occasionally she might pop in and see the doctor, and it didn't work for me. And I actually don't think any writer can make it work. So when you say, Dan, that you don't think Moffat pulled it off, I don't think any writer can pull it off, because I agree.
Tall order.
The companion is the companion. They're there for the ride. You don't get off halfway around a roller coaster and then get back on again when it reaches a dull.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, Simon. It is going to be a headache, because if you've got a guest writer coming in and they write your story, or actually no, you're going to have to change the beginning because my companion is currently in 1952.
It kills the continuity as well. It kills the feeling that they want to be there. It's just like, for goodness,
and want to be together.
As JT says, you've got all of time and space on offer to you, but you're going to go back to your job as being a teacher for a few days. For a couple of weeks. It's rubbish. It doesn't work.
Why would you?
I don't think, personally.
Yeah.
You don't feel invested in the character then.
Yeah.
Who knows what's coming? I really sincerely have no idea. And as for who they're going to cast, even less of an idea. I watch far less television now at this point in my life than I ever have, particularly British television. And in some respects, it means that I can't give you any kind of answer of anybody I've got my eye on. And I wish that I could in one sense, but it does mean the benefit of that, I feel, Matt, is that whoever they cast, 99% of actors that they find are going to be completely new to me, and they're going to be this new box fresh character. And that's fine. I'm fine with that at this point in my life and all these decades into Doctor Who's history, just to be surprised exactly the same way as I am going to be with Shooty. But before we leave the companion story completely, I did want to talk about this. Now, this has been talked about all week, and it did seem like it may even be going somewhere at one point, but now it's not. So this is the first of our Who's New strand, and I was all full of info about this woman, Rose Ayling-Ellis. It's been rumored for the last 10 days or so that she could be in line to join Ncuti Gatwa as the new companion on Doctor Who for series 14. Now, she's a 27-year-old actress from London, and best known for playing a character called Frankie Lewis on the BBC soap EastEnders. She did a couple of short films before then, but that's largely been it for this actress. She's been very popular on that show. I don't watch it anymore, but I do know people say she's been brilliant on EastEnders. And the idea that she could be the companion, it does seem that it was born on Twitter, the idle speculation, again, of a couple of rather overzealous fans with a bit too much time on their hands and a certain amount of skill in Photoshop to make some montages. People really ran with it, didn't they, Charlotte? And it didn't help that at the same time, she went onto social media and made this quip about her career. So she said she's just left EastEnders, and they were asking her about what she's going to be doing next, where she's going to be going. And all she said was, you will find out more at the end of this month, being August. I'm not allowed to say anything, which is the kind of thing we're used to Doctor Who actors and actresses saying, isn't it? So this was like a red rag to a bull, wasn't it, Charlotte?
Oh, yeah, it was the combination, like you said, people were bored. And she said this, because usually we get that, I can't even say anything. The fact that she was like, I have got something, but I can't tell you what it is, just made people. And then I don't know if this is true now, because I heard she apparently followed Russell, Ncuti, and a few other Doctor Who people on Instagram.
Claiming.
But the fact that what it looks like it's not going to happen, and I'll say more about that in a minute, makes me think maybe that was made up, that she was following certain people.
No, I mean, it's show business. They all follow each other. I mean, look at that picture there. She could have met them at BAFTA.
Well, I know for a fact that she had been following Andy Pryor for a while before then, because they're personal friends. He's obviously the biggest casting agent in the UK, maybe one of the biggest in the world, and apparently they've known one another for years and years and years. So I don't necessarily think that there was anything in that either. Here's a picture of Andy Pryor with her there.
It's exactly the same as the whole lunch thing, isn't it? Oh, such and such had lunch with such and such. That means they must be working together, and they must be doing. Oh, please! It's just the industry. It's just how it works. It doesn't mean a thing, people.
So yes, as of today, though, we have new information, don't we, Charlotte? Well, you have in particular. So tell us what Rose has had to say this very day, because I didn't know any of this.
Well, for people who don't know, it's current. I don't know if it started today or yesterday. The Edinburgh TV Festival. So of course, there's press there. There's lots of attention, and because a lot of papers were running with her, she got asked, because she was there promoting something else, "Are you the nude companion?" They just blatantly asked her. And she came out and said there's no truth to it whatsoever. She even said, I don't know where it came from. I think it came off Twitter. So she did even comment herself that it came off social media, and that, it'd be lovely if I got that job. So the fact that she's basically for me, that's quite a definitive no. She's not gone, maybe. She's gone, no, there's no truth to it.
Well, she's also signed to something else, isn't she? Which I think was announced today, or the casting's announced either today or tomorrow. She's involved with another show now. So there you go.
That as well. Yes. That's probably what she was teasing, I would guess. Then
I would say
so. So yes, sadly not, Rose. I'm interested in whatever she's going to do next. I did see a couple of the EastEnders that she was in, and I was quite impressed. So, who knows? She may turn up in Doctor Who one day, particularly if Andy Pryor knows her. He does tend to cast people over and over again in various things. He cast Art Malik in Doctor Who and gave him fuck all to do. But he cast Art Malik in Doctor Who and several other huge names. And for that, I think we can at least have faith in Andy Pryor. He's another one who's said some very silly things lately, but he is still at the top of his game. And I think we have to kind of hang on to that tightly. I don't know.
I certainly won't. Can't stand what he's saying. Another preacher, but there you go.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I mean, but then again, are people saying things that they haven't always said in private? You know, is it just that the questions that they get asked have changed? And
no, I think it's just like, you know, they're all following their own little clique, which is following what Russell says, and they're all on that side, and no other opinion is allowed. I mean, I'm more involved with it than you are, Dan. So it's a case of like, no, I see that sort of stuff, and it immediately alienates me. And I think, don't bring it into my favorite show, please. Just don't bring any of that into my favorite show.
Yeah, a few people are saying she could be lying, but the fact that she's got another project now really, I think, means that this. I don't think she's the companion.
I think I'm getting Ian, because that's what he was going to be saying after Hugh Grant. She's lying. Ian would say if he was here.
And I suppose for the purposes of the people who have engaged her in her next professional project, they're going to want her to start talking about that, aren't they? Not talking about a job that she hasn't got. But yeah, I think it caught people's imaginations. You know, people in the chat do seem to rate her as an actress, and again, I wouldn't rule her out ever being in Doctor Who. You know, it does seem to be that anybody who makes their mark on British television does eventually turn up on Doctor Who, and everybody who comes to Type 40 Live at some point is going to want to take a little bit of a break from all of this, all of the modern day, the rush of the modern day, and all this gossip and all this nonsense, and retreat to somewhere where the blue waves are lapping golden shores, and where the prettiest bits of plastic in the entire Whoniverse, sooner or later, JT, they're going to wash up, aren't they, at merchandise paradise? What do you think?
Well, it depends what trailer falls off what boat.
There you go. Yay! It's time for Merchandise Paradise. Over to Mr. JT. What have you got for us, mate?
Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Yes, because here we are. We have Merchandise Paradise again. Thursday, the 20th of September, 2022. And as usual, all information and prices are correct as we broadcast. We're putting that out there now. Right, so if I said to you, Spacebookers, we shall now play endless games together, your brain against mine, I hope you would actually think of the Celestial Toymaker. And that's where we're going first, because the vinyl range is back, and Demon have announced the latest in their vinyls. This is, of course, Doctor Who, the Celestial Toymaker. Demon Records presents the narrated TV soundtrack of a lost Doctor Who TV serial starring William Hartnell as, of course, the only, the first Doctor. This is presented across two, as you can see there, red and blue coloured vinyl discs. And this story from 1966 is narrated by Peter Purvis, who, of course, plays Stephen in the show. Stars the late Michael Gough as the Toymaker, with Jackie Lane as Dodo, and the supporting cast includes Carmen Silvera, Campbell Singer, and Peter Stevens. What names are in that? You know, it's amazing, isn't it? These LPs are presented in fully illustrated gatefold sleeve, showing the cast, the credits, and the inner bags are featuring complete episode billings. So again, a lot of people are actually collecting these. They are fairly successful. There's your next one. It comes out on Friday, the 30th of September. The recommended retail price is $29.99. It's available at all the usual stockists.
All of these look stunning, don't they? The packaging, Simon, and part of me wishes that I'd have collected them too. I haven't, but when you see these, just lovely. What do you think?
It's not actually my cup of tea, I have to be honest. I love the blue and the red vinyl, gorgeous. The cover, no, I must be honest, I think I'm on my own on this one. It's not really my cup of tea. The one thing it's just a bit garish, a little bit cheap looking. Sorry, not very dramatic. No, it doesn't work for me. The one thing I will say about it, with all credit to them, it's very, very unusual and original artwork. Again, we won't drag through this one, but we've criticised the Target, in inverted commas, books of late for being very unoriginal and unimaginative. You've got to hand it to them and say for this one, I've never, ever seen the Celestial Toymaker, or indeed any Doctor Who story, kind of visualised in the way that they've done that one. So, as I say, 10 out of 10 for that one.
I totally agree. It's very fresh.
Yeah,
for me, it sort of shows the madcap elements of what I envisaged that episode to be, because of course I've only heard it on CD before as well, and the bits and pieces you get to see, the very short bits and pieces. So, you know, box within a box within a box. But it's nice that they're re-releasing it now on the eve on what could be allegedly the Toymaker's return.
It does seem that way. It does seem that way, doesn't it? What other nuggets have you got?
Yeah, what else we got? Listen, thank you to all the Facebookers that get in touch asking about alternatives to the Danilo range of calendars that we show on Merchandise Paradise, because we do cover the Danilo range constantly, and we do talk about them every now and then, because they are the things that are on sale in the shops, if you like, around the United Kingdom. But there is an alternative if you are like myself and you love the 1963 to 1989 original and proper era of Doctor Who, and you want a calendar to celebrate the 60th anniversary of proper Doctor Who, then head over to the artist, the acclaimed Andrew Skilleter, because he's just announced details of his Doctor Who art calendar for 2023. So this is a new landscape wall format. There are more pages in this. There are now 26 pages in his calendar. A4 page devoted to each month with artwork on it, obviously. Now, these are also signed by Andrew himself. So these are reproduced art from the 80s and early 90s.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, if you were around in the 80s,
some of my very favourite pieces are just on screen now. We're looking at that Cyberman poster that came with DWM back in 84-ish.
Oh yeah, it was around about that. Yeah, because it was a fold-out poster in DWM, wasn't it? And of course, I mean, he set up his own business called Who Dares. So he produced calendars back in the day. He did lots of illustrations for lots of books that were out at the time. He did a lot of stuff for Doctor Who magazine. He did the video covers. VHS, wow, there's a memory. He did so much, and also the prints that you could get in all the exhibitions and the Who shop and everything like that. You know, those posters which were in the plastic. So this is a great way to actually get a new reproduced version from the original art. On with this as well, these are Andrew is saying that this is a genuine limited edition on these calendars. They're printed on high quality print and paper. And they have a wiro bound with drill hole for hanging. There's the man himself showing off the lovely, lovely piece that he's got there. The calendar will be sent to you in a quality whiteboard envelope and posted in strong all-bond envelopes, I'm afraid. There you go. He also wants to make sure that we know that the price has been kept the same in order to make this affordable, even though these cost a great deal more to produce. And he says, you know, you're getting something special. So if you're not interested in the Danilo range, there's an alternative for you.
This looks absolutely beautiful. I know he's put them out for a couple of years now, hasn't he? And I've always been tempted by them. Never bought one before, but I think I think I miss having a calendar. I think that's what it is. I finally miss having a Doctor Who calendar up. And this having not only some of my very favourite art in there, I've seen every page from this, there's some real beauties in, but also some artwork I've never seen before, Simon. You know, all through the 80s, you know, the pair of us, we were feasting on anything that we could see from artists, not just Andrew, but several other artists. And to think that there's pieces out there that I've never seen commissions, and a lot of them are appearing now in items such as this. I think this is a stunning piece and a great price.
15 quid. I mean, that's just a ridiculous price for what it is that you get.
I'd have thought it'd be around 30 quid for something like this.
Well, let me just point out, it's £15 with the postage and packaging. It takes it to around about 20 if you're in the United Kingdom. The only place you can get this, in answer to somebody in the chat there, the only place you can get this is from Andrew's website, which is www.andrewskilleter.com. You can just see it on the bottom of the page there, andrewskilleter.com. Now, they are limited edition. So if you want to get one, you need to start ordering it now. They are available from early September, so it means you'll get it by hopefully October. So you'll have it nice in time for Christmas. It's an ideal Christmas present as well. So if you want somebody to buy it for you, show them this show. andrewskilleter.com.
I hope it does really well for Andrew, because he puts out a steady string of real high quality merchandise and art books, I know, that are about to go into production, limited edition things. And yeah, he's impeccable, the quality that he maintains throughout his products. And there's a real dedicated fan base, not just of us old fans from back in the day, but new fans who've come along since and who've latched onto it and see them as evoking the time so beautifully.
Absolutely. And if you want to celebrate the 60th anniversary with a calendar and you don't like the alternatives that we're showing in the show, there's the one there for you. So I hope the people that have asked me about it are pleased with that one. Go and pre-order it. Thank you very much to Andrew for that one.
Mate, thank you. Yeah, you told me about that. Excellent stuff.
Yep. We're going to move on now to a reissue. And from 10acrefilms.com is Script Doctor, the inside story of Doctor Who 1986 to 1989. Now, this has been available a couple of times before. Once in the wilderness years, as we call it, and a few years ago. But it's a hugely popular book from ex-script editor of Doctor Who, Andrew Cartmel. This is Andrew's personal inside account of the final years of proper Doctor Who from 86 when he took on the job to 1989 when the show finished. It is incredibly popular. As I say, it's been out several times before, and it always sells out for them. So again, they've bound to fan pressure, and they are republishing it. This is going to be available from. It's going to be released on September the 5th. It's $14.99 without postage and packaging, and you can get it from 10acrefilms.com. So there you go. The blurb is the usual. It's a reprint, 222 pages in black and white, plus a 32-page color insert, which the original never had. But if you want to know a bit more about Andrew's time on the show, that's the book to have. It's a great read. I've got the original version. It's really insightful.
I've got the original one too, JT. For me, this is the seminal book on the Sylvester McCoy era, without question. And the idea, and I love my original, but it's very dog-eared. The idea that I didn't know there was a new insert in this, so I think I may be double dipping after all.
And it's colour. I'm tempted to get it myself as well because hang on, what have they put in there? But if you look, even if you're out there and you're looking at possibly finding your way in the business as today's version of a script editor, this is a great reference book for you. So please, if you're interested, do get that from 10acrefilms.com.
Awesome stuff. Script Doctor out again. I do think 10 Acre Films are doing sterling work over there, putting some of these titles out.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for letting us know about that one. That's great. Okay, so I just got a bit of a news item for you now as an update, because we were talking about these just a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago. And as we were talking about them, they went into administration. This, of course, is Eagle Moss with the Doctor Who figurine collection. So, as many of you will be aware, Eagle Moss is now in administration. However, he says, this does not necessarily mean that it's the end of the collection. Now, huge efforts apparently are going on behind the scenes, particularly by Ben Robinson. Hello, Ben. I hope you're well, and I hope you're not too stressed at this point. He ran many of the Eagle Moss ranges, because apparently there were more than just Doctor Who, because apparently there's other science fiction shows out there. Strange. So he is very, I know, Simon, it's unbelievable. He is very busy right now trying to find a new licensee for Doctor Who and his other collections so that the range can continue. And with the 60th anniversary just around the corner, then Ben really, really hopes that it's going to happen in some shape or form. Now, we've actually had a few updates today because Ben on his Twitter account is also showing various models, figurines that were due to come out. And what has been announced today is that issues 216 to 219 went into full production before administration. Now, those figurines are very highly likely to find their way to retailers. Now, I know that the Who shop in London is really, really trying to source those and get them in. So you may want to, if you are collecting the figurine collection, you may want to keep in touch with the Who shop and with Alex and the team down there, because they are really trying to get as many of these things in so that fans know where to go for them.
So they'll all be in a warehouse somewhere. They've fully produced, sat there waiting to get out to the punters.
It seems like it. It seems like it from this release, the news I've got here. The figurines are highly likely to find their way to the retailers, as I say. They are believed to be in or on the. Here we are. They're believed to be in or on their way to the UK. The magazines were all finalised up to issue 222, but some may not have been printed. And you need to keep in touch with various Doctor Who sites and Twitter fans for the actual announcements of these. However, they will include consoles, the megas, and the specials. The 9th and 10th and Junkyard consoles, along with the Cleaner Robot and Mega Cyberman, should all find their way to a retailer or retailers in the coming months. Some may now be in different locations within the supply chain at present, and it is not clear how near to production or shipping any other announced items, such as the Mega Dalek, Skak on horseback, whatever that is, and the Image of the Fendal set will be. Issues 220 and 230 were in development, with some much further ahead than others. So we will keep you up to date with any news that comes from that. But it seems like it's, if you're collecting these, please keep in touch with your local retailers and definitely keep in touch with the Who Shop. They'll keep you up to date. As I say, we'll brief you whenever we've got something coming up.
There is thank you for that. I know lots and lots of fans out there were, R.I.P. Eagle Moss. People were distraught over this, particularly over various part works. Star Trek fans have probably got it slightly worse because they were halfway through building Enterprises and things like. Could say it serves them right for being into Star Trek, but but seriously though, it is people go to great expense and invest a lot of time in ranges like this, a lot of affection too. Robert Payne asks, "Wait, there's a Who Shop in London?" Yes, there is, Robert. And if you stay tuned to Type 40 and Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, you'll find out more about the Who Shop in a couple of weeks here on the channel. Back to you, JT. What else have you got?
Just another bit of a news item before we move on to the merchandise is last week it was announced. Now, I don't know anything about this. I've tried to research it. I got bored. But some of you know because you mentioned it already, and some of you will be appreciative of this. But Doctor Who Magic the Gathering is on the way. Now, forgive me, I'm going to read this because it means nothing to me. As it approaches its 30th birthday, Magic the Gathering currently holds the record for the longest running trading card game of all time. With over 100 expansion sets, almost 100,000 unique cards and multiple formats for fans to enjoy, Magic has also become one of the world's most popular trading card games. Available in both paper and online versions, Magic has remained popular for almost 3 decades, and constant new releases mean the game is as relevant today as it was 30 years ago. As Magic the Gathering's 30th and Doctor Who's 60th anniversaries approach, Wizards of the Coast have announced that, in celebration, the two franchises collaborated to create Doctor Who cards. The new set will consist of 4 commander decks, several collector booster packs, and some secret lair drops. Magic the Gathering's new collection brings various incarnations of the Doctor, along with his villains and his companions, into cards and gameplay mechanics, featuring characters from across the show's past and future. Not only will the new set look back at the show's 60-year history, but will also look forward to upcoming developments in Doctor Who. The set will cover all the Doctors, including Ncuti Gatwa's 14th, as well as events and additional content that hasn't yet been made available to the public. Wizards of the Coast have stated that they aim to cover as much of Doctor Who's past, present, and future as possible. Now, this will be hitting wherever you get these things from the autumn of 2023.
I know Jack about Magic the Gathering. I know it's a big deal. This artwork that they've put out so far is spectacular, and the brand does seem quite prestigious. Obviously, they're the biggest at what they do. I've very quickly found out there was huge excitement in the chat last week when I think this story was breaking and people were sort of talking about it a little there. And I can't imagine me ever getting into this, but for the people who are fans of Magic the Gathering, JT, I think this is going to be very, very exciting. Just like when Doctor Who and Lego kind of very briefly crossed over, this could work for them.
That was exciting. No, that for me, that was exciting. That was my thing. But if you are interested in this Magic the Gathering card thing, there you are. You've been updated. But you know, blah blah.
It's fascinating stuff.
But I need to go, everybody. So I should
have. Thank you for your company again, Charlotte. We'll hopefully see you next time.
See you
next time.
Bye-bye,
Charlotte. Thank
Sweet
you very
dreams.
much.
Night.
And it's a shame that Charlotte has left us because we're moving on to a CD now, which you wouldn't have been interested in at all, I'm sure, because coming out on December the 1st on CD and download is the next of the BBC Doctor Who annuals on audio. This, as you can see, is Dead on Arrival and Other Stories. This stars Katie Manning, John Culshaw, and Tim Treloar, who are reading a dynamic trio of stories inspired by the strips first published in Doctor Who annuals in the 70s. Now, also, if you are a certain age, Space Bookers, this is quite fun because all the stories that are in this book, which are Dead on Arrival, The Traitor, and The Power, all of whom that have been adapted by Paul Mars from strip stories and what have you, first published in the annuals, well, you might recognize them if you were around in 1981, because all 3 stories were in this. Now, this was the World Distributors 5 Faces of Doctor Who annual, if you like, from 1981. That was a huge thing. This was the first time they had compiled various stories from a lot of their annuals from Doctors 1.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Well, they're all in here. They're all in here. So Dead on Arrival, The Traitor and The Power are all in there. So if you want to be read them, then this is a lovely, lovely supplement to what you've got there. As I say, it's going to be available from the 1st of December on download and CD, and it's available to pre-order now.
I've seen them putting these out, and I've never got them because I've got the annuals, and I think I may have missed out here. Katie
They're all still available if you want to buy them. The back issues are all still there, and it's going to be a series because there's a hell of a lot of World Distributor stories and comic strips to actually get read.
I may have to tap you up for a list of the ones that they've put out so far because I've kind of lost track of them. But it's a beautiful cover as well. I love all the Mike Collins artwork, and yeah, I think that looks really cool and quite kitsch. Simon, it's my kind of thing. This is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'd definitely be interested. I've got that book that the adventures. Very, very happy days of that book. It was just so exciting to get that back in the day because it was just such a ridiculously hugely chunky book. And so, to get these read by, well, I have to be honest, I'm not desperately excited by 2 of the 3 readers, but one of them certainly excites me enormously on that. So yeah, I think I'll dip into this one.
I think we can safely say that Katie's going to be reading Dead on Arrival, which was the comic strip. So yeah, and for the price as well, I think it's a little bargain. So again, it's a little stocking filler. If I've just remembered
what Dead on Arrival was. That was a kind of Randall and Hopkirk thing, wasn't it? With Joe Grant
being dead.
Oh, fantastic! Definitely getting that. My favorite.
I read it because it says Joe Grant finds out what it's like to be a ghost when she realizes that no one can see her. Even more alarmingly, the Doctor and the Brigadier appear to be mourning her death. Something has gone very wrong since her last trip in the TARDIS, but how can she tell the Doctor about it?
That would make a great animated film for like 40-odd minutes. Sorry, Simon, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say in the chat, Third Doctor says, wasn't Dead on Arrival a comic strip in a Countdown annual, not a Doctor Who annual? Don't know. Anybody know that?
It was in the annuals.
Yeah, but did they reprint it in that one from Countdown? Not so.
Got it.
No, somebody that one.
Not sure. Can we see that? There we go.
It looks very much like an annual. That looks like no. It could be Countdown. Maybe Third Doctor is right.
I'll check it out when we'll get back to it because it could just be a case that there was another story called the same thing. The comic did that a lot, didn't it? Because they
reprinted it from Countdown. Who knows? We need a bit more investigation to that one.
We will look into it. Yes, but Spacebookers, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we are currently at the end of August, which means it's nearly September. And what happens in retail in September? Hark! Do I hear sleigh bells? Yes, indeed, because it's nearly Christmas in retail. And throughout September, in fact, if you've been to B&M looking for the new action figures, you will see reams of Christmas stuff coming in right now as they have aisles of presents and bits of tinsel and what have you turning up. And yes, it is that. So the market is there. And we are going to start Merchandise Paradise for Christmas right now because, again, from our friends at the Who Shop with Alex and the fabulous team, if you want something for your Christmas tree, ta-da! Here you can. These are exclusive. These are exclusive in the United Kingdom to the Who Shop. I'm going to say that again. These are exclusive in the United Kingdom to the Who Shop. What you can see there are the officially licensed Christmas tree decorations. So you've got the mighty, mighty 4th Doctor, which is approximately 5 inches. That's going to be $24.99. And then you've got the less mighty 13th allegedly Doctor for $24.99.
She looks like she's swinging in the wind.
She looks very cross, doesn't she, there? But there you go. So that if you want this for your Christmas tree, now, not only can you get 2 incarnations, allegedly, of the Time Lord, but you can get these. Ta-da!
Oh,
yes, you can get a Dalek set.
No.
No, these can look quite.
And Simon, you're one of those Christmassy people I know. What's wrong with you?
Those on my Christmas tree, thank you.
Alex, if you're watching this, I am sorry. These are gorgeous.
I love them.
These are fabulous. Yes, again, exclusive to the Who Shop. This whole next range is all about the Who Shop, and it's all exclusive to them at the Who Shop at whoshop.co.uk. So
it's brilliant.
Power Rangers.
Such a shame that they were given the Moffat Daleks to put out.
Yeah.
I think the obvious reason for that is because they were already coloured and ready to go on a Christmas tree. Do you not think? So there you are. You can get these. This is 4 molded plastic ornaments for your Christmas tree. The set comes in at $39.99. And if you are, and who isn't, a fan of our beloved TARDIS, there is not 1, but 2 TARDIS ornaments for your tree. You've got the light up TARDIS, which is the one on the left with the snow and the Christmas wreath, based from the Christmas Invasion, loosely from all that, from all the merchandise and the publicity that went around that. That lights up, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen.
I already have that one.
I thought you did. I thought I had seen that before, and I thought it was you.
I showed it last Christmas. Yeah, it'll be out again this Christmas. It's magnificent. Yes. It's superb. If you haven't got it, go and get that one.
I remember you showing us one of the Christmas shows, Simon. I'm going to have to get one of these. How much are they again, JT?
Sorry?
How much are they again?
That is $29.99, and that nice one on the right hand side, which is apparently the one that was used in the Chibnall era and now into the 60th anniversary. That's a 3.75 inches one that doesn't light up, but that's $24.99. I think that's quite nice, actually. That one. I'm going to be getting that one myself.
Oh, I love that one.
For the 60th anniversary, it's perfectly apt. And I've always liked that box, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we are Doctor Who fans, and as we've said before, you can't go wrong with the police box. So there you go. So you can get those. Another plastic decoration, which you may want to buy, comes in the form of a little fat thing. The adipose there on the left-hand side is a 3-inch plastic decoration from $19.99. Okay, and it's sort of cute. I think Sarah would like that, wouldn't she?
She'd love it.
Yeah,
she'd buy about 8 and stick them at various points all over her tree. With your starry.
She would. And then the one on the right, let's just say, this stunning weeping angel is actually a tree topper. Because what Christmas tree is not complete without an angel? And if you're a Doctor Who fan, that's the one you've got to have. The weeping angel tree topper. Absolutely. It's 8 inches tall, plastic molding with a flexible loop inside, so you can pop it onto the tree properly, so it's not bending over on these curly kale things that we get from some of them. As you can see, it's painted to look like weathered stone. That's available from the Who Shop right now as well.
I have to say, Peter Harrington in the chat says, I want a Davros treetop fairy. And I have to be honest, I really want that one, Peter. I'd rather have that than a weeping angel.
Well, do you know what? If there's enough demand for a Davros tree topper, let us know. We'll get in touch with Alex and she will get it commissioned. I can guarantee.
Go, Alex.
Also, now just bear in mind, we are talking about Christmas here now. Now, what happens on Christmas Eve as well, of course? Well, we all know that Father Christmas is extremely busy on Christmas Eve. He's got to go all the way around the world and deliver all these wonderful presents in the ways that he does magnificently. And do you know what? Popping in and out of people's houses must get very, 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 very lonely. Do you not think? Okay, we're leaving in mince pies and milk and a bit of brandy maybe in some people's houses, but it must be quite lonely. So who wouldn't want to put out a familiar and a lovely face for him to see? Yes, indeed. You can, again, get the Adipose Christmas stocking. This is available right now to order from the Who Shop. It's 19 inches long. Oh, yes, matron. And as you can see there, you can put anything in your sack that you want to. So that's going to be very, very handy for Father Christmas when you visit on Christmas Eve, because he will, of course, leave you the infamous tangerine.
Yeah. How many tangerines do you reckon you could fit in that one there, Simon? Do you think a few, a good pack? Packs worth 6 or 7.
What to say about that? It's just, I don't know what to say about that. I'm lost for words, and I'm not often lost for words. I have nothing to say.
You've rendered Simon speechless, JT, with your assortment of goodies to either put under the tree or to hang off it, all from the shores of Merchandise Paradise. Obviously, you can make a note of the release dates and the prices that JT has kindly furnished us with all those beautiful items of merchandise. This segment, I think it has very much restored a sense of prestige in itself to the world of Doctor Who merchandise, sense of decorum. And long may it continue. What have they got to do if they enjoy this segment, JT, though?
What you have to do, obviously, to keep in touch with all these wonderful things that we're doing on the show, not just merchandise, but you have to like and you have to subscribe. And keep in tune, because as Dan sort of mentioned earlier, if you like and subscribe, you'll get a notification of a very special merchandise paradise coming your way very shortly.
Hark hither. And yes, do as the gentleman says. But yeah, thanks for putting that together for us, JT. Always a pleasure. And there's a few items I'm definitely going to be adding.
Thank you to Alex and the team from the Who Shop for that last bit for the Christmas decorations. Stay tuned. Oh.
Okay, have you had enough, or do you want some more, Matt? Have you had all the prettiness, all the beautiful, all the beauty that you can handle, or are you up for some pretty pictures, my friend?
Bring it on.
Before you start your day, and before we all go to bed. Yeah, Type 40 Live here with the pretty pictures, all for the love of Doctor Who. That's why we get together and talk about all this, and that's why they do what they do. Let's start with Matt Smith. Now, it's been a big week for Matt Smith. His brand new show on HBO Max, that's premiered. He is arguably the star of this brand new prequel series to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. He plays a right dirty bag of washing. In this show, you would barely recognize him, but obviously he's now become one of Britain's top character actors and made such a big mark as the Doctor back in 2020. He's still inspiring fan art now, not least of all this wonderful piece by James Chance. I think this is absolutely delightful. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's based on the Iron Giant, isn't it?
Looks like
it.
Yeah.
Where they've gotten the influence.
What is the Iron Giant then? For the people out there who might not know, what's the Iron Giant?
It was a animated movie that was based on a book, but it came out about 20 years ago, and it was a commercial flop, and has gained a cult following to the point where it's just I mean they've released a art of book and all those sort of things, heaps of merchandise now, because it's so popular now after 20 odd years. So this is very cool. I do like the style.
Chimes with that beautifully, doesn't it? The wonder of childhood and the childlike 11th Doctor, Simon. It's one of the things I always liked about that incarnation, and he's captured it beautifully, hasn't he, James? There.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. I just love that piece of artwork. I'm not an enormous fan of those Cybermen by any stretch of the imagination, but it just works really well in a piece of artwork like that. As Matt says, riffing on the Iron Giant, which they were all those sort of the Russell T Davies Cybermen were always kind of vaguely influenced by. Anyway, it just works perfectly. That does. Just a beautiful piece of artwork. You put that on the book of a cover of a book, don't you? A kid's book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks like that. Thank you to Robert Payne for pointing out there that the Iron Man was written by Ted Hughes, because it was a book years and years and years before the film. I actually remember reading the Iron Man at school and was captured by it. What a classic!
Yeah,
did they still read it in school? Do they still have it in school? I have no idea.
I'm not entirely.
Probably not politically correct anymore, I would imagine.
Probably not. No, it involves somebody who might be
kids
triggered.
are probably disappointed it's not a Marvel comic.
Possibly, but yeah. No,
From let's take a look at another piece of painted artwork. This is by Mark David Lewis, and this is a collection of various nasties that plagued the Third Doctor back in the 70s. The Autons, the Nestine Consciousness, and everybody else there. There's the little gremlin that scared the life out of Ian David Diaz at the bottom. All of that. We've seen several of Mark's pictures before now, obviously hand painted, and he's got a very particular style, I think, Simon. Mark, you can always tell his work.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's just magnificent, that, isn't it? I love the troll down there at the bottom, and so this is hand painted, is it? Because it's
on canvas. I should have said on canvas.
It's wonderful to see something that is hand painted as opposed to digital, and I love the Nestine in the back there. That's how it always was meant to appear in Terror of the Autons, and never did. So it's great to see it there. Beautiful piece of artwork. That lovely
artistic license, but done beautifully, I think. JT, and the vibrant yellow jacket too of the clown. Is he a clown? I'm not entirely sure. Was he a gangster? They were gangsters, weren't they? Those characters with the big heads.
Carnival figure.
Yeah, the carnival thing. That's the way. That's the way to talk about it. Yeah.
Luna Park type thing.
Wonderful stuff. And so evocative. And so is this. We're going to look at digital art now. This one's from. I know this sounds like a sex toy, but it's not. It's actually an Instagram account and a digital artist called the Clockwork Squirrel. And this picture of Romana there, going for a bit of a dip on the shores of a lake. It looks like not far from the capital on Gallifrey. A nice one to end on too, I thought, JT.
Yeah, it's an untold story waiting to happen, isn't it? Really, but no, I like that one. Anything that's going to show Mary for me is going to be a thumbs up. I'm afraid, yeah.
Well, she is wearing white, so.
Yeah, you can. You can. Yeah, I think you can if you look closely. Just look, and you can see where she keeps her Smarties. There, you're absolutely right, probably.
Absolutely.
Indeed, somebody's had a lot of fun doing that.
But it's nicely done, and I seldom see, and this is a shame really, because she's a very beautiful woman, and the character's so unique. I see a lot of fan art circling around Lala Ward's incarnation of Romana. I think because the whole schoolgirl look in City of Death lends itself very well to sort of anime style and illustrations. Mary Tam's Romana was a different, she had a different aura about her.
Absolutely, and you know that artwork captures it beautifully. I'm thinking the source photograph is probably from the Armageddon Factor there. I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And looking at the costume, but it's beautiful, and I can honestly say I've never ever seen a piece of artwork that takes any Doctor Who companion and puts them in water in such an evocative way. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. I want to know what the story's behind that. And yet again, you know, you've shown three just such completely different pieces of artwork there, and that's what we were talking about earlier. You know, this is what Doctor Who is all about. It's differences. It just inspires people so much in so many different styles, in so many different ways, and that to me is part of that is the beauty of Doctor Who, I think.
It is. I don't think I've ever seen a piece of art that shows the planet at night.
No, interesting. No, I think you're right, actually.
And if you look at the capital, what you've got there, okay, you've got the established one from the reboot Who, which is lovely, but there's various cities or whatever around it.
Yeah,
which was implied, I think, in Invasion of Time, if I can remember correctly.
And I think you do see those on screen in the Russell T Davies era in particular, but they're on screen for a blink of an eye, really, and you can I suppose you can slow them down, watch them in slow motion. I always got the impression so much work went into those, and we see them on screen for so little. And it's right that Gallifrey be shrouded in mystery, but when animators have spent so much time, Matt, creating these domains and imagining, it's a shame not to see it in a little more detail. That's why I love the art books so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always thought that the Doctor was born outside the dome, to be honest. So that's part of what I've in my own little headcanon sort of thing. You know, that's yeah.
Here's an idea for a book next year, because there's various books coming from BBC Studios, Penguin Books next year for the 60th anniversary, as we would expect. I blame Peter Haining. But how about BBC Studios, BBC Books, and Penguin? How about a book just with fan artwork?
Yeah, brilliant.
We've never really had that. Put a call out now via Doctor Who Magazine and Twitter.
There was, I suppose there was the Key to Time. That was full of fan art, wasn't it? The second Peter Haining book, but that was 40 years ago. I think you're quite right. We could do with a bit of an update on all of that. And if you are a fan artist and you'd like to show us some of your work, you'd like us to showcase it for you, with you, give you an honest crit, we'd be more than happy to do that here at Type 40 Live. Or if you know of a fan artist that we've never covered on the show and you want to point us in their direction, they've got a fantastic Instagram account or an online DeviantArt page, or they just pump out good stuff on Twitter. Doesn't matter in what medium it is. We're interested in seeing whatever they're doing, how they're expressing their love of Doctor Who. Come and join us in the Type 40 Facebook group and share some of their images. So just put them in touch with us. Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who. That's where you can get in touch with Type 40 for all of that. Follow us, like us, all the rest of it. We're not needy, but it only takes a moment, guys. It only takes a moment. Thanks to everybody who's dropped the comments here in the live chat on this show. It's been a packed one. I think people have had their entertainment value tonight, haven't they? Don't you think? You have, of course, you have. Like a video. What do you think, Matt? You tell them what to do, mate. You tell them.
like, and subscribe
Yep.
right now, and hit the bell notification so you know when we are going live.
Yeah. And put your
There you
10p.
go.
Thank you.
I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue. When he gets like that, you won't like him. When he gets angry, yeah, please like the video and hit the closer bell to get the notices. And then you'll know whatever we're going to do next, when we're doing it, and why. You may know why before we do. It's quite breakneck here as we hurtle down the vortex, getting ready for that 60th anniversary next year. I can't wait. So much more to get into for the rest of this year. My God, we'll have all sorts going on in the autumn. We've got that Centenary special. We've got Doctor Who Day. We've got a couple of big occasions in the fandom too, and with the cast. We're going to cover it all, and you'll find out all about it if you stay tuned and stay subscribed. Thanks as ever, JT, for your company, for the merchandise, and for the sparkles there. JT's off to see ABBA next week, aren't you, my friend? Looking forward to that.
I am indeed. Can't wait. I have got my feather boa ready. So what's I'm on the way.
He's going to be seeing them. They're going to be seeing him. How about you, Simon? What are you up to over the next few days? Anything you can talk about, or more training of the dog?
No, probably, yeah, training the dog and tearing more walls off the walls, probably. Rock and roll lifestyle.
Good man. And how about you, Matt? We're all going to bed. You're getting up for your day. What's the day hold in store for you, mate? Got a day off?
I'm binge watching at the moment. I'm watching classic Avengers. So
lovely, fabulous,
awesome,
yep.
nice choice, sir. Nice choice. You want to series 3 or 4? Was that?
That one's I've just finished season 4, so I'm on to season 5 right now, the coloured season. So.
And are those Blu-rays worth getting? Because I've considered
absolutely. I've got the standard DVDs, and these are worth the upgrade. Believe me. Beautiful.
Well, I'm hearing we're going off into a tangent now, Facebook. Sorry about this. Sorry, Eamon. I know you're waiting to come on, but you know it's a case of I'm hearing there's another anniversary coming for the Avengers. So hold fire, everyone. Hold fire.
I'll be buying it again. It's I'm like Charlotte because I've not seen a lot of those episodes. So where she hasn't seen a lot of Doctor Who episodes, Doctor Who episodes. I haven't seen a lot of these. So.
British television at its best and very 60s because nobody has a clue what the hell is going on.
I can't wait to get to we're gonna have to talk about those, I think, on the Facebook at some point, Matt. But yeah, thank you to everybody. Thank you guys for your company. It's been a brilliant show, and to everybody watching along in the chat, including Shah. She's out. We've sent Shah out, actually. She's been trying to find out some more information about the Centenary special ahead of that press release on Monday. So she's undercover as we speak. We can't say what she's doing, what she's up to, or who she could be talking to. But if we play our cards right, she'll be back with some information for us in the not too distant future. We've got a buy Lenny there from Shah too. So yeah, again, thanks to everybody who's been watching the show tonight. We've had a brilliant time. Let us know what you think of it all. All the things that we've talked about on the show, the merchandise, the Doctor Who diary, the whole question of companions, and that episode title for the Centenary special. We're pretty sure we know what it's going to be. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section. That's it for us for this week. We'll speak to you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.